Within Alexa Kingdom's Wisdom Palace, Albert researched peacefully before sudden bandit attacks terrified residents. Meanwhile, confused palace knights protected nobody properly, leaving frightened priests and scholars scrambling indoors. Soon, Elwyn mercenaries stormed crowded streets aggressively, raising enormous banners while anxious civilians watched, during relentless chaos. Merida defeated numerous enemies effortlessly before noticing Albert beside exhausted defenders. Curious about Albert's reputation, Merida approached closely and immediately admired his calm intelligence greatly. Pinned beneath Merida unexpectedly, Albert remained nervous while secretly anticipating their unusual dangerous encounter greatly. Reincarnated within Palak's kingdom, Albert preserved previous memories and gained extraordinary knowledge through relentless studying. Blessed with remarkable intelligence, Albert earned royal recognition while officials praised his incredible future potential extensively. Unfortunately, jealous nobles accused Priest Albert falsely, claiming he betrayed Prince Orgus through serious misconduct. Consequently, palace authorities demoted Albert immediately, forcing missionary duties across dangerous distant frontier territories afterward. Hearing punishment calmly, Albert accepted humiliation while his peaceful life suddenly collapsed completely. Furious church elders scolded Albert, questioning why an educated priest committed reckless mistakes recently. Elsewhere, Prince Orgus mocked Albert arrogantly, dismissing his wisdom despite terrible abilities himself. Kneeling respectfully, Albert apologized while realizing the prince exploited noble authority against citizens selfishly. Across Alexa Kingdom, corrupted nobles supported Orgus, enabling kidnappings and poisoned servants secretly. Sympathetic priests secretly supported Albert, offering gifts while denying direct temple involvement publicly. Smiling arrogantly, Prince Orgus questioned missing servants while Albert remembered protecting one previously. Disgraced publicly, Albert received punishment before guards escorted him toward dangerous frontier territories reluctantly. Unexpectedly, Merida approached Albert after hearing stories describing his brilliant strategic intelligence everywhere. Observing Merida carefully, Albert realized her overwhelming abilities surpassed every talented warrior previously encountered. Analyzing Merida carefully, Albert noticed terrible domestic abilities while recognizing opportunities benefiting himself greatly. Explaining calmly, Albert suggested Merida's staged kidnapping allowed peaceful escape without creating unnecessary future conflicts. Satisfied completely, Merida carried Albert away quickly before approaching kingdom soldiers discovered their escaping movements. Inside Elwyn's headquarters, Albert reunited safely with Alicia, while exhausted mercenaries returned from dangerous missions. Embarrassed slightly, Alicia thanked Albert sincerely because his earlier actions prevented Prince Orgus kidnapping her. Watching Alicia nervously, Albert realized Merida personally selected outfits, matching his unusual preferences perfectly. Teasing Albert playfully, Merida admitted enjoying beautiful women herself, while Alicia blushed from overwhelming embarrassment. Later, Merida challenged Albert confidently, noticing his surprising knowledge regarding women despite priestly responsibilities previously. Questioning Merida carefully, Albert demanded explanations regarding his kidnapping and sudden exile from Alexa Kingdom. Laughing awkwardly, Merida defended herself desperately, admitting Prince Orgus disgusted her beyond normal tolerance completely. Enraged relatives punished Merida severely after she violently attacked Elwyn family's respected influential leader previously. Understanding everything gradually, Albert learned Merida rejected arranged marriage proposals because she considered relatives unbearable. Thinking carefully, Albert realized Merida's connection with Demon King supported his ambitious future political strategy greatly. Whispering excitedly, Albert proposed negotiations involving Merida's sister and influential imperial noble intermediaries immediately afterward. Smiling confidently, Albert prepared important letters quickly, while Merida suddenly announced another unexpected personal decision. Blushing happily, Merida embraced Albert tightly while asking support as her future beloved husband sincerely. Although embarrassed greatly, Albert praised Merida honestly, before carefully questioning her sudden marriage proposal intentions completely. Surprisingly, Merida requested permission bringing beautiful mistresses home because she adored women enormously herself too. Accepting calmly, Albert agreed immediately provided every future mistress willingly joined their unusual romantic relationship together. Deeply thoughtful, Albert realized marrying Merida granted political authority, necessary achieving ambitious imperial restoration plans. Smiling confidently, Albert pledged loyalty toward Merida, while admiring her charming powerful personality greatly. Hearing Albert's promise happily, Alicia and Merida accepted their unusual romantic relationship together, completely. Excited greatly, both women dragged Albert away before he finished important strategic letters completely. 1 week later, Albert received negotiation responses from influential imperial political connections successfully. Facing Elwyn mercenaries seriously, Albert understood success depended upon controlling their overwhelming dangerous strength. Nearby mercenaries overheard rumors describing Albert satisfying Merida passionately throughout their previous exhausting night. Grinning proudly, Albert joked carelessly about Alicia, causing embarrassed reactions among shocked mercenary members. Laughing loudly, Elwyn mercenaries respected Albert because he handled their terrifying princess confidently. Although embarrassed slightly, Merida defended Albert immediately while nearby mercenaries continued teasing them playfully. Watching silently, Albert realized Elwyn mercenaries admired Merida deeply because her charm captivated everyone. Gathered mercenaries questioned Albert carefully, wondering whether Merida could finally reclaim Alancia Empire successfully. Displaying royal documents proudly, Albert revealed Demon King supported conquering Alexa Kingdom's dangerous border territories. Hearing Albert's strategy seriously, Elwyn mercenaries questioned whether neighboring imperial lords opposed expanding Alancia completely. Standing confidently before everyone, Albert explained mercenaries could occupy territories before imperial forces arrived. Reviewing regional maps carefully, Albert targeted unstable border territories constantly abandoned during previous devastating wars. Confidently addressing Elwyn mercenaries, Albert promised Merida's restoration through carefully planned territorial military campaigns successfully. Inspired greatly, Elwyn mercenaries celebrated enthusiastically while preparing weapons before attacking Alexa Kingdom's border lords. Riding beside Merida, Albert abandoned priesthood completely and embraced life-serving Elwyn mercenary forces. Arriving beside mercenaries, Merida announced Elwyn's control over Benia Lord's defended castle confidently. Swinging her enormous weapon violently, Merida destroyed the fortress gate while terrified soldiers watched helplessly. Panicked defenders celebrated briefly before mysterious projectiles crushed armored captains from unbelievable distances suddenly. Laughing excitedly, Merida demanded destruction while confused subordinates questioned her reckless violent decisions repeatedly. Days earlier, Albert explained siege principles carefully, while exhausted Merida listened inside their private camp. Before attacking Benia Castle, Albert ordered mercenaries protect civilians and avoid unnecessary destruction carefully. Hearing those restrictions, Merida complained because violent looting remained common during mercenary warfare campaigns. Calmly explaining consequences, Albert warned Merida failure would destroy their chances returning toward Alancia Empire. Using strange rewards creatively, Albert motivated Merida while threatening punishment against reckless nighttime behavior strictly. Accepting Albert's conditions reluctantly, Merida announced strict battlefield rules and controlled disobedient mercenaries. Personally, leading Elwyn mercenaries fearlessly, Merida captured Benia Castle while surrendering soldiers begged for mercy. Refusing retreat, remaining defenders attacked violently while Merida crushed armored warriors across castle corridors brutally. Inside the courtyard, Bazan challenged Merida proudly, believing demons could never defeat him alone. Surrounded by terrified soldiers, Bazan threatened Merida while demanding execution of invading Elwyn mercenaries publicly. Swinging enormous weapons repeatedly, Bazan attacked aggressively, yet Merida blocked everything calmly during combat. Charging forward aggressively, Merida instantly defeated Bazan, terrifying remaining defenders across Benia Castle's courtyard. After securing the fortress, Elwyn mercenaries captured prisoners while surrounding the frightened lord's residence. Entering beside armed soldiers, Merida informed Benia's lord his authority ended with Elwyn's invasion. Begging desperately for mercy, the terrified lord offered wealth before Merida punched him violently. Ignoring apologies, Merida prepared executing the surviving noble while mocking his cowardly behavior publicly. Laughing confidently, Benia's defeated lord believed neighboring territories would send military reinforcements immediately. Arriving calmly, Albert confirmed conquest while preparing Elwyn mercenaries for political negotiations ahead. Standing beside valuables proudly, Merida reported victory while Albert requested another public speech immediately. Addressing frightened citizens carefully, Merida blamed Benia's corrupt lord, while promising protection from exploitation. Following Albert's strategy strictly, confiscated wealth was distributed equally, while Benia joined Alancia Empire peacefully. Following Merida's speech proudly, Benia citizens celebrated Alancia Empire, while praising the Demon King enthusiastically. Smiling among grateful civilians, Albert realized peaceful negotiations strengthened imperial loyalty without wasting resources. Confiscated wealth and unpaid soldiers' wages were redistributed carefully, improving governance throughout conquered Benia territory. Watching Merida closely, Albert acknowledged her overwhelming charisma exceeded rumors surrounding Elwyn mercenaries previously. After organizing reconstruction efforts carefully, Albert prepared for Alancia's military arrival at Benia Castle. Arriving beside soldiers, Stefan warmly greeted Merida after returning from dangerous border operations successfully. Praising Albert proudly, Merida explained his strategies reclaimed territories without unnecessary civilian casualties successfully. Observing Albert carefully, Stefan recognized extraordinary abilities beneath his humble appearance and friendly behavior. Touring Benia peacefully, Merida proudly showed recovering citizens and reforms throughout liberated imperial territories. Impressed greatly by Albert's achievements, Stefan invited him joining Alancia's administration as strategist. Standing protectively beside Albert, Merida rejected Stefan's teasing while calling herself his devoted wife. Trusting Albert completely, Merida allowed Stefan assigning dangerous negotiations involving Elwyn leadership matters personally. Shocked immediately, Albert learned Lord Preston controlled Elwyn territory and remained Merida's influential uncle. Explaining seriously, Merida revealed recovering Ashray territory remained necessary before restoring her noble position. Although worried greatly, Albert listened carefully, while Merida described Preston's terrifying mercenary reputation throughout Elwyn. Confidently encouraging Merida, Stefan trusted Albert despite Lord Preston's terrifying political influence everywhere. Dreaming happily, Albert imagined peaceful territory management beside Merida, surrounded by loyal beautiful women. Accepting responsibility seriously, Albert agreed becoming Merida's envoy and persuading Lord Preston personally. Meanwhile, inside Alexa Kingdom, Prince Orgus angrily discovered Albert's growing influence beyond expectations recently. Furious nobles panicked after Albert's accusations threatened exposing illegal dealings toward Alexa Kingdom's ruler. Inside Alexa Kingdom, Prince Orgus discovered Albert's accusations threatened exposing corruption toward Prince Goran. Panicking desperately, corrupt nobles planned escaping before Alexa Kingdom's ruler uncovered their criminal evidence completely. Furious beyond control, Orgus revealed Alancia Empire seized territories through Albert's strategic political manipulations. Before escaping, terrified nobles were captured by soldiers under Prince Orgus' direct authority immediately. Blaming Albert entirely, Orgus ordered massive searches while preparing ruthless revenge against the former priest. Inside Azure Castle, Albert introduced himself before facing Merida's terrifying uncle, Lord Preston personally, sitting confidently upon Elwyn's throne. Preston accused Albert manipulating Merida and stealing authority completely. Attempting negotiations calmly, Albert avoided Preston's sudden attack while realizing his overwhelming strength immediately. Without retreating fearfully, Albert promised restoring Elwyn prestige through intelligence, leadership, and administration strategies. Continuing confidently, Albert declared supporting Merida completely while managing Elwyn territory's domestic affairs successfully. After hearing Albert's proposal, Preston considered supporting Merida's military ambitions within Alancia Empire eventually. Laughing proudly, Preston praised Albert highly, while admitting leadership responsibilities exhausted him constantly lately. Trusting Albert's determination completely, Preston agreed surrendering authority if Merida became a capable ruler eventually. Although respected widely, Merida remained feared throughout Elwyn territory because of her violent battlefield reputation. Before leaving, Preston warned Albert nobody controlled Merida properly, despite admiring her overwhelming strength greatly. Albert accepted Preston's invitation, while Elwyn warriors celebrated Merida's growing military achievements proudly. During celebrations, Merida drank heavily while Preston encouraged Albert joining family banquet festivities enthusiastically. Soon, Albert encountered Freya and Rather, Merida's relatives, questioning his unexpected relationship nervously. Although lower-ranked nobles, Freya and Rather welcomed Albert warmly while discussing family responsibilities together. By evening, Albert relaxed beside Merida's relatives, enjoying alcohol and strengthening important family bonds. During celebrations, Rather announced the Demon Tribe strength competition before everyone gathered excitedly around Albert. Rather declared Albert the competition's participant, shocking him because nobody mentioned dangerous traditions previously. Merida confirmed Demon Tribe customs required newcomers proving strength through battle, leaving Albert nervous. Although Merida promised nobody would die, Albert worried brutal contests still caused frequent injuries. Albert protested risking lives during competitions, but Merida praised his hidden abilities and intelligence confidently. Albert hesitated nervously while Rather encouraged choosing any competition style accepted by demon traditions. Rather explained demon contests allowed unrestricted formats, inspiring Albert's unusual strategic competition proposal. Suddenly, Albert introduced a civilian board game competition instead of combat, surprising everyone attending greatly. Although confused initially, Rather accepted Albert's clever challenge, because demons honored declared competition rules. Merida angrily realized Albert included her within participation, while nearby demons questioned her hesitation. Merida confidently accepted Albert's strange competition, while Rather prepared seriously beside nervous participants together. Alicia announced the writing challenge topic loudly, while Demon Tribe members prepared parchment immediately. Merida and Wraither struggled writing carefully because intense concentration caused unexpected physical exhaustion quickly there. Although demon warriors handled battles easily, detailed writing tasks created painful concentration difficulties constantly. While Albert finished effortlessly first, Alicia watched shocked as exhausted demon participants collapsed around. Merida, Wraither, and Freya struggled terribly while Albert observed exhausted participants nearby afterward. After Albert's easy victory, Demon Tribe members respected his unusual intelligence and abilities completely. Freya angrily attacked Wraither, blaming his foolish decisions causing humiliation during Albert's competition recently. Albert interrupted peacefully, while Freya defended herself nervously against Wraither's harsh accusations afterward there. Wraither blamed Freya entirely afterward, but both received punishment for violating castle regulations. Albert created strict punishment rules, forcing Demon Tribe members learning discipline through reflection room penalties. Later, Albert explained Ashley Castle's economic importance while introducing territorial management strategies carefully. Merida, Freya, and Wraither proudly protected Ashley Castle because their combat strength secured trade territories. After assuming management duties, Albert questioned Preston regarding tax records, causing confusion during discussions. Preston casually admitted ignoring financial documentation entirely, shocking Albert while exposing serious management problems. Preston presented military records instead of financial ledgers, confusing Albert during management discussions completely afterward. Albert regretted expecting administrative abilities from Demon Tribe members while preparing financial records independently. Questioning treasury conditions, Albert heard Preston explain wars and spending reduced available wealth significantly. Albert immediately visited Ashley Castle's treasury, demanding guards open secured storage rooms carefully afterward. Inside treasury rooms, Albert discovered empty shelves, realizing demon management remained disastrously irresponsible completely. Merida proudly trained inside Ashley Castle, while Albert carefully checked newly stamped territorial administration documents. After training ended, Merida happily celebrated freedom until Albert reminded her unfinished paperwork remained waiting. Endless administrative reports overwhelmed Merida quickly, while Albert strictly explained important territorial sealing regulations carefully. Frustrated by exhausting duties, Merida accused Albert of enjoying her suffering during administrative responsibilities inside. Before dinner preparations, Alicia quietly teased Albert regarding Merida's growing attachment and emotional reactions recently. Alicia questioned Ashley Castle finances, while Albert revealed reserves barely supported maintenance expenses. Reviewing salaries carefully, Albert discovered excessive retainers and careless management damaged regional stability recently. Empty treasury rooms forced Albert reducing spending, while reorganizing Ashley Castle's domestic affairs carefully. Exhausted from calculations, Albert encouraged Alicia strengthening valuable intelligence networks across nearby territories continuously. Later, hidden food reserves inside Ashley Castle relieved Albert's concerns regarding future shortages. Inside Ashley Castle, Albert discovered Melvis possessed exceptional administrative talent, despite serving as warehouse keeper seeking assistance. Albert questioned Melvis carefully regarding priorities, strengthening the struggling Elwyn territory successfully. Melvis recommended improving ledgers and maintaining prosperous lands to ensure long-term regional stability carefully. Impressed by Melvis's intelligence, Albert invited him becoming official strategist for the Elwyn family immediately. To secure loyalty, Albert granted authority, increased salary, and control over internal administration completely. Melvis accepted Albert's proposal, seriously understanding reforms demanded difficult sacrifices and exhausting responsibilities ahead. After organizing merchant contacts, Albert prepared unusual warehouse transportation competition for the Demon Tribe. Merida, Preston, and Wraithor confidently joined exercises, believing victory guaranteed prestigious vanguard battle positions. Under Albert's instructions, participants transported colored cargo boxes throughout enormous warehouse training grounds, carefully disguising labor as training. Albert reorganized warehouse inventory while motivating Demon Tribe workers efficiently. Merida's squad gained early advantages, while Wraither and Preston struggled carrying massive warehouse cargo. Following heated victory arguments, Alicia prepared meals while workers emptied enormous warehouse shelves. Meanwhile, Albert instructed Melvis carefully, planning merchant negotiations after transportation training exercises concluded. Workers separated spoiled supplies efficiently, selling damaged food cheaply while strengthening merchant relationships afterward. Fran admired Albert's practical management methods, supporting commercial expansion throughout Ashley Castle's growing territory. Albert struggled managing schedules alone, while Melvis organized accounts and monitored growing warehouse expenses carefully. Alicia remained hardworking and dependable, although her inability reading documents prevented secretary responsibilities completely. Later, Albert visited merchant leader Renville, hoping solving regional trading problems through negotiations successfully. Renville explained inconsistent measurements caused merchant disputes, forcing businesses throughout Ashley territory suffering financially. Marida proudly introduced standardized measuring equipment, helping merchants trade fairly across Elwyn territory. Albert introduced strict trading regulations, while Renville admired his thoughtful economic management strategies greatly. Renville immediately supported standardized measurements, believing those policies would finally resolve merchant disputes permanently. During celebrations, Irene served drinks gracefully, while Albert awkwardly reacted beside Renville nervously. Albert learned Irene possessed exceptional domestic abilities, surpassing her father's impressive administrative talents considerably. Renville recommended Irene joining Elwyn's staff, believing her talents would greatly assist Albert. Renville suggested Irene assisting Albert permanently, believing her abilities perfectly matched administrative responsibilities. Irene gladly accepted employment, hoping supporting Albert and Merida would benefit their family greatly. Albert welcomed Irene warmly, while Merida secretly worried about gaining another romantic rival. During evening preparations, Merida nervously questioned her feelings. While Albert accepted Irene's assistance professionally, Irene confidently delivered requested documents, impressing Albert while Merida teased his growing admiration. Albert inspected measurement instruments carefully before leaving administrative duties temporarily for evening training. Castle merchants already followed standardized measurements peacefully, preventing confusion, rebellion, and territorial disputes. Meanwhile, Albert realized corrupt village chiefs manipulated taxation systems, strengthening armies and uprisings. Border skirmishes increased frequently between neighboring territories, causing Albert concerns regarding upcoming warfare. After reviewing reports silently, Albert planned stabilizing internal affairs before conflicts eventually emerged. Smiling confidently afterward, Albert prepared implementing effective rewards alongside punishments throughout territories successfully. Albert visited Northern Territory chiefs, discussing certified measurements and revised taxation systems carefully. Although concerned initially, Elwyn representatives admitted previous collection methods prevented famine during wartime periods. Meanwhile, Albert announced new retainer positions, prioritizing educated human workers, managing administrative responsibilities efficiently. Despite praising Albert publicly, the territory chief secretly planned deceiving inexperienced leadership for gain. Smiling maliciously, the chief believed manipulating Albert's trust would remain extremely easy permanently. Albert warned Preston about suspicious problems, while secretly preparing evidence exposing corrupted taxation practices. Suddenly, Merida's furious father confronted Preston aggressively, accusing him of deception against Elwyn leadership. Frightened immediately, Preston listened silently, while Merida's father demanded emergency taxes from vulnerable villages. Cornered completely, Preston promised cooperation after Merida's father threatened brutal punishment for dishonesty repeatedly. Meanwhile, Albert calmly observed events nearby while Merida's father intimidated Preston into immediate obedience. Albert reassured Preston calmly, while Merida's father demanded explanations regarding suspicious missing financial records. Furious immediately, Merida's father condemned Preston harshly, reminding everyone demons despised corruption and dishonesty. Meanwhile, Albert manipulated Preston carefully, encouraging cooperation before Merida's father discovered missing village ledgers completely. Nervously trembling, Preston admitted confusion while Albert requested immediate financial updates concerning village administration matters. Enraged completely, Merida's father pressured Preston aggressively until frightened officials promised delivering missing documents immediately. 1 week later, Albert received village ledgers successfully while frightened officials begged mercy repeatedly. Smiling confidently, Albert explained villagers surrendered records voluntarily after Preston intimidated suspicious territory leaders. Meanwhile, Preston promised inheritance, tax exemptions, forcing nervous chiefs toward absolute cooperation and loyalty. Irene praised Albert's clever strategy, while villagers feared Elwyn warriors suppressing dangerous territorial rebellions permanently. Careful investigations later revealed hidden earnings greatly exceeded previous reports, submitted by corrupt village leaders. Elwyn finances recovered after villagers repaid taxes properly, while Melvis organized important ledgers completely. Combined populations increased steadily while uncultivated lands promised massive future development throughout Elwyn territories. Meanwhile, harvest season approached rapidly, allowing mobilized soldiers preparation for possible future conflicts. Later, Albert paused duties briefly, after Alicia informed him Merida requested another important meeting. Suddenly, urgent imperial reports arrived unexpectedly, forcing Albert toward immediate territorial decisions afterward. Albert received reports describing Lord Stefan's territory invasion before harvest season officially finished completely. Weeks earlier, Alexa Kingdom officials celebrated proudly after mobilizing armies toward contested border territories. Prime Minister John informed commanders confidently while exhausted. Nobles struggled supporting prolonged military campaigns continuously. Ambitious leaders planned reclaiming territories, believing weakened imperial forces could no longer resist effectively. Jean requested military command authority afterward, hoping victories would satisfy Alexa Kingdom rulers permanently. Furious commanders questioned Jean immediately after learning harvest season prevented direct battlefield participation completely. Reluctantly obeying orders, Jean departed toward Tiana, while commanders demanded immediate territorial invasions elsewhere, simultaneously. Alone afterward, furious commanders cursed incompetent officers repeatedly, while preparing strategies for reclaiming occupied territories. Meanwhile, Albert reviewed suspicious reports carefully, anticipating future victories across reclaimed imperial border territories soon. Desperate eventually, furious commanders blamed Albert entirely before swearing deadly revenge against both brothers permanently. Albert anticipated victorious armies returning soon, while Merida enthusiastically prepared equipment for approaching dangerous battles. Unfortunately, Albert realized sudden warfare during harvest season completely destroyed previous strategic military expectations immediately. Stefan commanded 3,000 soldiers bravely, while Alexa Kingdom forces exceeded 5,000 experienced warriors. Albert feared losing territory permanently because harvest shortages weakened defensive preparations across Elwyn border regions. Meanwhile, Orgis confidently manipulated battlefield circumstances. Again, while Albert struggled understanding unexpected enemy movements completely, Merida, Preston, and Rather proudly assembled squads before Elwyn's approaching battlefield campaign tomorrow. Albert assigned cavalry wagons carefully, avoiding unnecessary peasant soldiers during dangerous military operations. Melvis worried greatly about numerical disadvantages, but Albert secretly prepared practical countermeasures beforehand. Before departing, Albert entrusted castle administration responsibilities entirely to Assistant Melvis during warfare. Excited for combat, Merida sharpened her sword eagerly while anticipating battlefield victories soon. Merida launched Elwyn's demon army forward confidently as Albert's decisive battle officially began. Alexa Kingdom soldiers panicked outside fortress walls, carelessly provoking dangerous human forces approaching. Albert calmly observed everyone's tension, quietly welcoming another ally into his growing strategic family. Lord Stefan questioned Albert's confidence, doubting survival chances while enemy armies continuously advanced forward. Albert studied battlefield formations carefully, realizing fortress defenses would collapse against coordinated imperial assaults soon. After analyzing enemy weaknesses, Albert predicted frightened peasant soldiers would eventually abandon Lord Bedouin's command. Albert secretly released Merida's hunting forces first, preparing an ambush before enemy commanders reacted properly. Rear-guard soldiers received strange advance orders, but commanders immediately ignored suspicious battlefield instructions. Marquis Bazin greedily abandoned defensive duties, focusing instead on looting villages and capturing demi-human women. Despite repeated warnings, Bazan dismissed urgent reports, while enemy movements rapidly approached his vulnerable rear camp. Merida suddenly launched her cavalry assault, terrifying Bazan's forces, and completely destroying their remaining battlefield morale. Merida's cavalry crushed fleeing soldiers quickly, spreading panic throughout Bazan's unprepared defensive camp afterward. Earlier Albert explained hidden forest routes, allowing militia forces surrounding weaker enemy soldiers successfully. Merida accepted Albert's strategy proudly, believing sacrifices guaranteed victory against stronger battlefield forces completely. Albert finalized the operation calmly, while Merida and commanders reviewed battlefield positions together carefully. Bazin's soldiers protected him desperately, but Merida's assault overwhelmed their remaining resistance forces completely. Merida cut through Bazin's guards easily, targeting commanders before frightened soldiers, reorganized defenses successfully. After capturing enemy positions, Merida encouraged ruthless pursuit while terrified Alexa soldiers abandoned formations. Albert's demi-human allies hunted retreating troops relentlessly, preventing enemies escaping towards safer territories afterward. The crimson-speared demon appeared suddenly, forcing panicked soldiers requesting immediate reinforcement from their vanguard. Meanwhile, Lord Bedouin celebrated confidently, unaware Merida's forces already destroyed Bazin's collapsing defensive army. Lord Bedouin noticed unusual formations, yet ordered his army's reckless advance toward battle confidently. Merida and human warriors chased terrified soldiers mercilessly, scattering Alexa troops across battlefields. As confusion spread everywhere, Bedouin forced frightened cavalry forward, despite growing panic among soldiers. Albert's hidden spear wall activated suddenly, crushing charging enemies before they could retreat safely afterward. Albert praised Stefan calmly while trapped soldiers panicked helplessly against relentless infantry defending barricades. Trapped soldiers panicked completely, accidentally killing allies while retreating from Albert's hidden defensive formation. Albert observed enemy confusion calmly, realizing terrified soldiers already attacked each other uncontrollably afterward. Hearing Albert's prediction succeed, Lilith understood their prepared battlefield strategy finally started working properly. Despite Lilith's determination, Albert ordered her remain safely inside Stefan's camp during frontline fighting. The human commander defended Albert's authority immediately, rejecting Lilith's reckless battlefield request angrily. Despite Elder's warnings, Rather insisted joining battle beside experienced demon tribe warriors immediately. Albert praised Rather's potential, promising participation after accepting strict strategic conditions carefully first. Albert ordered Rather observe combat patiently, waiting carefully before entering battle at perfect moments. After accepting conditions, Rather trained seriously, preparing himself becoming future demon army commander someday. Finally joining combat, Rather charged enemy soldiers bravely, overwhelming frightened troops with aggressive attacks. Stefan ordered forces forward, surrounding exhausted enemies trapped within Albert's prepared battlefield formation completely. While soldiers begged Bedouin escape, Merida intercepted him before retreating forces protected him properly. Merida defeated the commander instantly, proudly announcing victory after severing his head during combat. Rather admired Merida's overwhelming strength while Stefan commanded surviving enemies surrender immediately as prisoners. After victory, Stefan realized Albert's strategy successfully protected demon territories from military collapse completely. After victory, Stefan praised Albert's brilliant strategy while Merida proudly admired her intelligent husband greatly. Merida happily embraced Albert, leaving battlefield cleanup responsibilities entirely under his careful leadership. After battle ended, Stefan praised Rather and Preston's impressive battlefield achievements during competition results. Merida earned first place proudly after defeating numerous commanders during the brutal military campaign. Albert congratulated the Elwyn family warmly, realizing victory exceeded every original battlefield expectation greatly. Despite celebrations, Albert worried isolation would weaken future political relationships between surrounding noble territories. Later, Stefan visited Albert peacefully, discussing post-war cleanup responsibilities throughout conquered demon territories together. Stefan organized prisoners carefully, selling captives while securing confiscated goods from defeated black market traders. Afterward, Stefan trusted Albert completely, allowing him manage ransom negotiations with captured nobles independently. Marta demanded expensive celebration drinks excitedly, but Albert restricted spending because military funds remained limited. Continuing celebrations, Merida attempted borrowing Albert's allowance, despite obvious financial difficulties surrounding everyone. Meanwhile, Preston and Rather admitted fearing their mothers controlling every salary earned after victories. Merida complained loudly about celebrating victory, while everyone struggled under strict financial limitations. Fortunately, Stefan delivered wine supplies, allowing excited demon soldiers begin victory celebrations together happily. Albert reminded everyone about responsibility carefully, though demon celebrations continued enthusiastically throughout the night. After celebrations ended, exhausted Albert complained painfully while continuing administrative duties without reliable assistance. Soon afterward, Freya informed Albert about urgent ransom negotiation problems, requiring immediate attention elsewhere. Albert established strict ransom policies, treating captives carefully while executing unpaid prisoners without hesitation. During negotiations, Albert discovered Lise von Alco, imprisoned despite offering every available ransom resource. Lise secretly governed Alco territory disguised as male heir, protecting citizens during dangerous instability. Even imprisoned, Lise refused freedom offers because abandoning citizens would leave innocent people starving. After investigating thoroughly, Albert admired Lisa's leadership abilities and proposed protecting Alco territory through support. Albert proposed protecting Lise carefully, though marriage conditions embarrassed and confused her greatly. Merida arrived excitedly, frightening Lise while Albert explained her unusual romantic preferences casually. Although Merida teased Lise aggressively, Albert reminded everyone, consent remained absolutely necessary always. Albert explained annexation plans carefully, hoping Alco territory strengthened Elwyn influence across surrounding regions. Hearing marriage conditions completely, Lise panicked nervously while Merida supported Albert's political arrangement confidently. Hearing Albert's proposal fully, Lise nervously accepted becoming Merida's official romantic partner eventually. Excited greatly, Merida carried embarrassed Lise away immediately, promising unforgettable experiences together inside demon territory. Later, Lise apologized awkwardly, while Merida proudly admitted handling their intimate first experience, personally. Hearing strange explanations, Albert became embarrassed when everyone misunderstood his relationship management philosophy completely. Eventually, Lise joined Merida's household officially while Albert accepted his unusual romantic lifestyle peacefully. Investigating carefully, Albert realized enemy prince conspiracies involved dangerous supporters behind battlefield operations. Soon, Imperial messengers announced rewards while summoning Albert directly toward the Emperor's royal castle. Hearing Imperial interest unexpectedly, Albert worried his unusual relationships and ambitions might become exposed. Albert learned the young Emperor possessed terrifying political influence, causing concern about Imperial intentions. Meanwhile, another disastrous report arrived suddenly from the royal capital, warning about military defeat. Imperial commanders panicked completely. After disastrous defeat caused enormous troop losses and territorial collapse, officials discovered Lise reclaimed Alco territory successfully, destroying Imperial plans before anyone prevented her return. Although commanders apologized sincerely, furious nobles refused accepting excuses for catastrophic military failures completely. Learning Merida restored Elwyn authority successfully, Imperial nobles feared their succession schemes would collapse. Hearing Albert married Lise, enraged Imperial leaders blamed Merida for ruining political arrangements completely. Rather discovered Albert's betrayal, condemned the priest fiercely, and ordered soldiers increase Albert's bounty. The wounded commander apologized repeatedly, while Rather demanded silence, and prepared restrictions returning soldiers. Rather secretly requested support from neighboring kingdoms, while hiding truths regarding Albert's unexpected survival. Swearing revenge against Albert, Rather promised violent punishment after exposing every humiliating failure publicly. The first Demon King founded a Lancia Empire quickly, uniting persecuted Demi, humans beneath Ecto, Christ's castle. Albert explained ancient royal families received voting privileges through Alancia's Demon King selection system. Successive emperors maintained demi-human unity through elections, involving assassinations, bribery threats, and factional conflicts. Christ von Shugmori eventually conquered election rivals and ascended proudly beside Alancia's imperial throne. Citizens respectfully greeted Emperor Christ while Albert silently studied Alancia's brutal political traditions. Albert admired Christ's overwhelming abilities while realizing Alexa Kingdom never truly challenged Alancia Empire successfully. Christ officially approved Albert's engagement with Merida, greatly relieving Albert after difficult negotiations recently. Merida teasingly celebrated Albert's acceptance while proudly expecting warmer congratulations from her future husband. Preston criticized Merida's compassion, reminding everyone Albert previously protected her during dangerous exile periods. Rather angrily demanded recognition after fighting bravely, refusing constant comparisons against Merida's achievements anymore. Christ warned Merida publicly, reminding everyone Imperial audiences required dignity, discipline, and respectful behavior, always. Albert immediately apologized before Christ, admitting Merida's reckless actions insulted Imperial court etiquette badly. Christ explained Albert bowed, because Merida's disrespect nearly forced humiliating punishment upon him publicly. Christ revealed everything was merely teasing, then praised Albert's reliability and Merida's fortunate engagement happily. Merida laughed comfortably, admitting Albert's respectful manners deeply impressed Christ during their audience. Merida defended her appearance proudly, while Preston mocked ugly nobles and complained about unattractive humans. Preston thanked Merida sincerely, admitting her protection allowed him becoming respected family leader. Merida ordered Preston support her loyally, ensuring peaceful cooperation between competing demon family factions permanently. Rather accepted Merida's reward proudly, promising stronger achievements during future battles across Alancia. Preston praised Albert patiently, believing only reliable men could successfully manage Merida's unpredictable personality. Christ praised Albert's battlefield tactics warmly, acknowledging his intelligence and impressive victories across border territories recently. Albert accepted Christ's compliments politely, believing their relationship remained trustworthy, despite hearing suspicious rumors earlier. Christ questioned Albert about women surrounding Merida, suspecting hidden relationships inside Alco family affairs recently. Albert denied disloyalty nervously, but Christ threatened punishment after exposing Albert's connections with several women. Merida defended Albert fiercely, declaring those women belonged to her while Albert panicked beside her publicly. Christ threatened Albert angrily after hearing rumors about Merida, protecting him against imperial punishment recently. Merida defended Albert fearlessly, while Albert desperately searched for arguments, preventing Christ from executing him immediately. Albert promised future conquests and military strength, convincing Christ his survival still benefited Elwyn family ambitions. Albert challenged Christ respectfully, reminding him marital relationships remained private, despite imperial authority over territories. Christ finally accepted Albert's explanation calmly, admitting husbands deserved freedom regarding personal relationships and marriages. Christ tested Merida's loyalty jokingly, offering Albert payment while observing both reactions carefully. Merida protected Albert possessively, while Albert admitted serving Merida exhausted him beyond imperial duties. Elwyn vassals warned Christ promoting Albert directly could create jealousy among noble supporters. Albert advised Christ against favoritism respectfully, promising service benefiting Merida and Elwyn family interests. Merida praised Albert's wisdom proudly, believing her influence allowed his talents shining successfully. Christ acknowledged Albert's abilities sincerely, appointing him Merida's strategist within the expanding empire. Albert pledged loyalty toward Christ and Merida, while Christ warned about troublesome women carefully. Christ ordered Albert protecting Merida's interests, rewarding obedience during the imperial celebration banquet successfully. 2 weeks later, Albert returned to Ashley Castle, reviewing reports describing peaceful territorial conditions. Albert discovered Slat territory remained unstable because desperate farmers abandoned villages, creating roaming bandits. Albert studied post-war problems carefully, planning recruitment campaigns, rebuilding territories, and strengthening Elwyn forces. Merida gathered soldiers excitedly, but Albert announced competition rules involving capturing enemies alive during training. Albert explained injured captives reduced victory points, while Preston supported harsh battlefield exercises greatly. Rather volunteered eagerly for frontline duty, promising captures, while Albert warned against careless violence. Albert assigned younger vassals supporting roles, leaving Rather frustrated because she preferred direct combat. Albert explained captured enemies would rebuild territories through labor projects, while Merida questioned his methods. Merida led Elwyn soldiers using wooden weapons, capturing surviving enemies alive for territorial development projects. Rather charged fearlessly across battlefields, helping Elwyn secure victories and obtain additional defeated workers. Albert worried excessive authority threatened his position, so he focused earning Demon Tribe trust carefully. Albert visited refugee camps, planning persuasion campaigns, encouraging displaced civilians, supporting Elwyn expansion efforts. Starving refugees gathered nervously, while Albert promised protection, shelter, and steady meals under Alancia authority. After receiving proper food, the exhausted civilians gratefully praised Alancia and abandoned thoughts of returning home. Clean garments were distributed next, as Albert demanded everyone replace their filthy clothes immediately. Several refugees examined the fresh outfits carefully, surprised such quality clothing was freely provided there. Confident about future expansion, Albert believed loyal settlers and workers would strengthen Merida's growing territories. Albert warned the refugees they could never safely return to Alexa territory again. Although fearful about becoming Elancia servants, starving civilians slowly accepted Albert's protection and generous supplies. Remembering Alexa's cruelty, the refugees listened carefully while Albert described better opportunities under Elwyn leadership, promising farmland, temporary tax freedom, tools, and food. Albert encouraged refugees to support Elancia loyally. Doubt spread among several civilians, yet Albert confidently guaranteed contracts and swore responsibility for every promise. Several refugees accepted Albert's contract, abandoning Alexa and supporting the growing Elwyn territory together. Cheering civilians gathered proudly while Albert assigned newcomers building villages beside Elancia settlements productively. Satisfied with recruitment success, Albert planned agricultural expansion carefully, believing refugees could stabilize territories. Refugee hunts captured defeated soldiers while Albert reviewed reports praising Merida and Preston's battlefield results. Studying casualty numbers carefully, Albert considered giving Rather command during the Empire's next campaign. Albert reviewed refugee census reports carefully, organizing labor groups, constructing villages and waterways efficiently. Confident about future profits, Albert believed settlements would become valuable economic centers for Elancia, eventually. Meanwhile, Zazan struggled managing Prince Orgus's reorganization plans while overseeing political affairs inside the capital. Priest Lord Bleach Oxner arrived beside Zazan, representing Utel's church during discussions with imperial officials. Oxner praised Prince Orgus calmly, declaring his appearance carried strong blessings from God Utel alone. Zazan learned Bleach secretly supported Prince Orgus while monitoring dangerous mountain tribes near Elancia borders. Bleach requested permission, mobilizing mountain believers, claiming holy war required stronger religious military forces. Suspicious, Zazan questioned Bleach's influence carefully, believing reckless religious politics threatened national stability greatly. Smiling confidently, Bleach promised 1,500 armed followers supporting campaigns against Albert's growing faction successfully. Studying regional maps carefully, Zazan considered exploiting Stefan's territory before Albert reclaimed surrounding regions, Lord Bleach admitted. Supporting Prince Orgus required costly exchanges and valuable political favors secretly. Accepting Bleach's offerings gracefully, Zazan redirected Alexa's supplies toward supporting mountain tribes directly. Latter, Zazan assigned Brolish managing Tiana's reorganization while handling sensitive political affairs carefully. Meanwhile, Lord Bleach promised expanding mountain followers supporting future wars while maintaining religious influence nationwide. During their meeting, Zazan reassured his worried father regarding political duties and administrative responsibilities successfully. Goran informed Zazan about devastating battlefield losses caused by enemies recruiting defeated soldiers. Angrily rejecting Goran's warnings, Zazan insisted their kingdom's army remained powerful during territorial conflicts. Latter, Zazan confidently reassured his father, claiming enemy misinformation manipulated Goran into spreading rumors. Continuing afterward, Zazan explained, exhausted soldiers returned recovering inside Tiana, while enemies panicked civilians. Suspiciously questioning Zazan's confidence, his father reminded him previous promises guaranteed effortless military victory. Zazan confidently promised subordinates everything remained controlled, despite worsening military rumors spreading throughout territories. Afterward, Goran secretly prohibited visitors approaching their bedridden father, while suspecting Elancian battlefield victories. Hearing Albert's reports, Goran realized numerous nobles across territories mysteriously disappeared during conflicts. Concerned nobles increasingly abandoned alliances, forcing Goran reconsidering political stability surrounding Prince Orgus carefully. Another message from Albert arrived, warning Goran against allowing Hero's sword followers. Reports revealed Hero's sword followers manipulated believers while corrupt nobles supported dangerous expansion secretly. Hearing accusations, Goran ordered allies severing connections with suspicious Hero's sword supporters permanently immediately. Meanwhile, Goran instructed loyal subordinates gathering intelligence while maintaining cooperative relations alongside Albert carefully. Although respecting Albert's abilities, Goran feared talented citizens abandoning Alexa weakened national stability severely. Inside Ashley Castle, Merida ignored responsibilities completely, preferring entertainment instead of exhausting administrative duties, avoiding responsibilities. Merida ignored duties lazily, despite companions encouraging cooperation during important meetings. Suddenly, Albert warned Merida harsh punishment awaited whenever careless behavior created troublesome situations repeatedly. Later, Alicia questioned Albert carefully regarding trading operations and management responsibilities involving business profits. During discussions, Albert explained commercial earnings funded intelligence agencies without affecting household finances directly. Reviewing financial ledgers, Irina realized hidden investments secretly supported expanding intelligence operations throughout territories. Albert assigned Irina ordinary intelligence duties, while personally handling Prince Goran's dangerous supporters and operations. Meanwhile, Alicia supervised secret intelligence funding, ensuring Margie Trading Company expanded covert activities successfully. Following New Year celebrations, Albert gathered Elwyn family members while announcing their household motto proudly. Meanwhile, Merida enthusiastically promised countless battles, despite Albert noticing peaceful territories lacked active wars presently. Although disappointed, Merida accepted Albert's training proposal, while secretly expecting future conflicts nearby someday. Soon, Merida suggested dangerous supply raids through enemy territories, exciting surrounding soldiers greatly today. Meanwhile, Raythor and Preston eagerly volunteered leading upcoming troops, while supporting Merida's reckless enthusiasm completely. Despite Merida's complaints, Albert firmly ordered her completing administrative duties before participating in battles. Meanwhile, Merida reluctantly handled paperwork, while Albert instructed loyal officials managing household responsibilities carefully today. Several days later, Albert reviewed merchant records and discovered suspiciously numerous weapon shops operating nearby. After investigations, Albert proposed expanding mines cheaply producing iron materials necessary, creating powerful matchlock rifles. Finally, Albert discussed ambitious population strategies, supporting childbirth, marriages, healthcare, and future territorial prosperity plans. Albert proposed tax reductions encouraging larger families while preparing population growth policies throughout territories. Reports revealed Slat territory maintained stable commerce, fertile farmland, and 700 residents currently. Meanwhile, merchants traded crops, hides, and timber while supporting Slat's economic development steadily. Later, Albert ordered continued food assistance, hoping future heirs inherited prosperous territories with strong foundations. Finally, Slat residents thanked Merida sincerely while Albert managed important Alco family affairs responsibly. Merida realized military achievements remained necessary, preventing rebellions, threatening Alco family authority and stability. Meanwhile, Alicia reported suspicious mountain tribes supporting Hero's sword followers, while assisting Prince Goron financially. Reviewing intelligence carefully, Albert increased investigations regarding mountain tribes, preparing attacks against imperial territories. Although previously neutral, mountain tribes changed attitudes gradually, while abandoning isolated lifestyles and traditions. Reports confirmed mountain tribes traded valuable goods while secretly exchanging information with regional nobles frequently. Reports described mountain warriors defeating imperial forces using disguises, illusions, and dangerous guerrilla tactics. Albert calmly accepted Alicia's intelligence, believing careful preparations could prevent future territorial instability. Merida eagerly volunteered eliminating troublesome mountain tribes, while Irenina prepared immediate territorial inspections. Excited immediately, Merida joined Albert's inspection mission, promising swift assistance throughout dangerous investigations. During preparations, Merida happily promised destroying suspicious enemies discovered anywhere throughout Slat territory. Merida reluctantly accepted Albert's inspection conditions, while requesting Irina accompany their territorial journey. Alicia happily joined preparations, although Merida complained about losing peaceful relaxation opportunities during inspections. Their carriage soon reached Slat Castle, where residents warmly welcomed Lady Lisa's return. Merida admired Tan's compact residence, while Alicia praised her incredible battlefield strength enthusiastically. Crowds celebrated enthusiastically outside Slat Castle, surrounding Lisa's carriage during her long-awaited homecoming. Lisa's courageous reputation strengthened Alco family support, while citizens increasingly admired her determined leadership abilities. Busy assisting Merida daily, Liz politely declined invitations from enthusiastic townspeople throughout Slat territory. Albert accompanied inspections carefully, hearing citizens' complaints while secretly admiring Merida's overwhelming dangerous strength. During inspections, Merida effortlessly defeated a gigantic bear, astonishing everyone traveling throughout nearby territories. Returning toward Slat Castle, disappointed Merida complained because recent inspections lacked enough challenging battles. Merida demanded battles immediately, ignoring Albert's reminder about their peaceful territorial inspection mission completely. Suddenly, Merida attacked suspicious intruders, while Albert protected Liz and Irina inside nearby chambers. Albert contacted guards carefully after recognizing mysterious attackers resembled dangerous mountain ninja warriors recently. Furious immediately, Merida threatened brutally punishing intruders, invading noble bedrooms during important inspection duties. Masked assassins revealed interest toward Albert, admiring Merida's strength and Albert's famous intelligence greatly. Albert exposed the intruder's disguise while masked assassins threatened returning during future dangerous encounters. Merida aggressively pursued escaping assassins, while Albert ordered enemies captured alive for questioning immediately. Furious continuously, Merida attacked recklessly while masked warriors barely avoided devastating sword strikes repeatedly. Before escaping successfully, mysterious intruders revealed beast-like appearances, astonishing Albert and nearby companions greatly. Using bright flash, orbs suddenly masked, assassins escaped completely, while Merida angrily cursed their cowardice. Smoke bombs allowed mysterious intruders escaping successfully, while furious Merida abandoned immediate dangerous pursuit, temporarily. Liz immediately organized search parties carefully, ordering guards investigate both castle grounds and surrounding towns. Angry continuously, Merida demanded remaining nearby until authorities identified shameless intruders spying upon her bedroom. Albert requested additional accommodations because he suspected dangerous intruders remained secretly somewhere inside Slat Castle. 3 days later, Alicia finally revealed intruders belonged to Go Shoot mountain tribes led by Warid. Smoke bombs allowed mysterious intruders escaping successfully, while furious Merida abandoned immediate dangerous pursuit temporarily. Liz immediately organized search parties carefully, ordering guards investigate both castle grounds and surrounding towns. Angry continuously, Merida demanded remaining nearby until authorities identified shameless intruders spying upon her bedroom. Albert requested additional accommodations because he suspected dangerous intruders remained secretly somewhere inside Slat Castle. 3 days later, Alicia finally revealed intruders belonged to Go Shoot mountain tribes led by Warid. Hearing the envoy's arrival, Albert confidently arranged discussions before entering the secluded Go Sweet settlement. Meanwhile, Merida accompanied Albert and Liz through mountainous territory after Warid successfully handled official preparations. Crossing eastern mountains, Merida carried Albert carefully while nearby villagers guided their difficult journey onward. Embarrassed expressions appeared after Merida teased Albert continuously, while traveling deeper through snowy mountain paths. Ahead of them, Albert warned Merida and lies calmly before reaching the tribe's settlement entrance. Inside Ghostweed Village, Werid welcomed Albert's group warmly while introducing himself as respected tribal leader. Later, Merida observed beautiful mountain maidens carefully, remaining possessive toward Albert throughout their unfamiliar visit. Merida confidently supported Albert's mission, while Werid observed her bold behavior with growing curiosity. Suddenly, armed villagers surrounded Merida's group carefully, testing Albert's intentions inside unfamiliar mountain territory. Maintaining composure, Merida requested proper hospitality, while Werid admitted their threatening behavior seemed completely obvious. Inside the gathering hall, Alicia served mountain alcohol proudly, while Albert observed Ghostweed traditions quietly. After tasting unusual fruit liquor, Merida accepted the drink happily, despite its strange and aging flavor. Albert studied Ghostweed Village carefully, noticing Werid's leadership abilities among experienced mountain hunters. Curious about their intentions, Albert asked Werid regarding hidden negotiations behind the unusual invitation. While drinking mountain liquor, Werid explained concerns involving traditions and dangerous political relationships nearby. Political tensions continued spreading rapidly, causing Werid's tribe to lose their previous neutral position. After understanding everything clearly, Albert suggested uniting mountain tribes together under Werid's trusted leadership. Werid rejected Albert's proposal angrily, fearing his tribe would become persecuted enemies afterward. Calmly drinking beside Alicia, Merida trusted Albert completely and believed his strategy already remained prepared. Doubts continued troubling Werid because relying upon outside noble families threatened Ghostweed neutrality permanently. After listening carefully, Albert explained every faction possessed hidden motives beneath their public appearances. Finally, Werid accepted Albert's discussion seriously, while allowing further questions regarding future tribal cooperation. Albert discovered the Ghostweed tribe became isolated after conflicts involving the Sword of Hero followers. Werid explained sadly that neighboring mountain tribes accepted accusations and avoided Ghostweed people completely afterward. Food shortages worsened continuously, forcing Ghostweed villagers toward desperate survival decisions within harsh mountain conditions. After noticing widespread starvation, Merida suggested relocating temporarily towards flat territory for necessary provisions. Hearing Alicia's proposal carefully, Werid accepted cooperation and requested Albert's strategy for protecting Ghostweed Village. Albert explained his strategy carefully, while Werid considered the proposal with growing interest afterward. Inspired by Albert's confidence, Werid decided uniting mountain tribes remained their tribe's only surviving opportunity. As future compensation, Werid promised Albert rare mountain products, beautiful women, and valuable alcohol supplies. Several months later, Merida celebrated successful progress while Albert's operation against Sword of Hero expanded steadily. Inside Slat territory, Lee's reported Ghostweed intelligence agents successfully gathered important information throughout foreign nations. Albert investigated Sword of Hero Church, discovering corruption beneath popular religious teachings recently. Meanwhile, corrupt priests exploited wars repeatedly while gathering wealth and manipulating desperate believers everywhere. Arriving at Fallbreck territory, Albert reunited peacefully with Margrave Stefan after recent military conflicts ended. Soon Merida happily reunited with her older sister, showing unusual affection during their emotional meeting. Laya advised Merida responsibly, while Albert learned more regarding influential demon nobility connections carefully. Laya interrupted Merida excitedly, requesting private sister bonding while preparing discussions with Albert afterward. Cheerful excitement filled the mansion as Merida happily followed Laya toward relaxing bath preparations together. Meanwhile, Albert discussed future operations seriously with Stefan, targeting the dangerous Sword of Hero organization. After recent defeats weakened public trust, Albert proposed exposing corruption surrounding influential religious leaders publicly. Understanding Albert's intentions immediately, Stefan arranged meetings with important temple priests for their upcoming operation. Albert learned the Empire worshipped Alexius, while several nations followed different forbidden gods separately. Historical conflicts began after Udal believers condemned Alexius worshippers and labeled them dangerous heretics. Within Flexa Kingdom, priests trained aggressively while Stefan invited important religious leaders toward his territory. During their private meeting, Stefan introduced Albert carefully while discussing urgent matters involving church affairs. Surprised by Albert's sudden appearance, High Priest Sandal listened carefully regarding suspicious religious activities recently. Albert informed Sandal about marrying Merida before mentioning suspicious Sword of Hero activities. Stefan explained authorities investigated Sword of Hero members, after criminal accusations spread throughout the empire. Examining documents carefully, Albert questioned Sandal regarding possible connections with forbidden religious supporters. Defending Utel teachings passionately, Sandal condemned Sword of Hero extremists twisting religion toward ambitions. Satisfied by Sandal's response, Albert concluded the high priest remained uninvolved within recent conspiracies. Albert explained mountain refugees suffered persecution because Sword of Hero followers spread religious violence continuously. To prove innocence publicly, Albert urged Sandal toward direct action against extremist organizations immediately. Reviewing noble connections carefully, Sandal discovered influential supporters secretly backed Sword of Hero activities. Enraged by corruption, Sandal vowed personally eliminating nobles supporting dangerous religious extremists completely. Satisfied with Sandal's cooperation, Albert and Stefan prepared operations against Alexa Kingdom conspirators. Together, Albert exposed Sword of Hero corruption publicly, damaging their influence throughout Utel church followers significantly. Soon, expelled leaders triggered widespread scandals, causing frightened believers to abandon the extremist organization. Watching events unfold calmly, Albert predicted Sword of Hero supporters would eventually destroy themselves completely. Inside Alexa Kingdom, Orgus defended Zazan's political involvement while arguing fiercely against his father, despite criticism surrounding Goran's birth. Orgus continued believing his younger brother deserved royal succession rights. Soon, Goran presented documents exposing Sword of Hero representatives connected closely with Orgus recently. Shocked by unexpected evidence, Orgus investigated secretly and discovered suspicious activities surrounding extremist supporters. After confirming everything carefully, Orgus agreed immediately to dissolve Sword of Hero proxies throughout Alexa Kingdom. After receiving Goran's warning, Orgus discovered several supporting nobles belonged secretly to his family. Furious afterward, Orgus vowed personally to eliminate every Sword of Hero supporter without hesitation completely. Trusting Orgus entirely, the king ordered immediate destruction of dangerous extremist influences throughout Alexa Kingdom. Soon afterward, Orgus confronted Zazan angrily regarding hidden information about Sword of Hero exiles recently. Shocked by official documents, Zazan realized Goran's faction already abandoned Sword of Hero supporters. Realizing Goran manipulated events carefully, Orgus worried greatly about losing important political influence. Determined to survive politically, Orgus ordered immediate arrests, targeting Bleach and Sword of Hero executives. Fearing exposure completely, Orgus secretly destroyed evidence connecting himself with illegal weapon supplies. Consumed by ambition, Orgus swore confidently he would never surrender Alexa Kingdom's throne peacefully. Several months later, Merida complained lazily about paperwork, while daydreaming happily about Leia beside Slat Castle. Merida distracted herself happily with Alicia's teasing while avoiding unfinished paperwork responsibilities afterward. Meanwhile, Lise received revealing clothing unexpectedly, causing Merida to become embarrassed and suspicious immediately afterward. Eventually, Albert returned home and discovered Irina exhausted after managing territory affairs without assistance continuously. Reviewing numerous reports carefully, Albert organized military training, construction projects, and expanding farmland development simultaneously. As territory improvements progressed steadily, Albert continued strengthening infrastructure, while preparing future expansion plans carefully. Warid organized emergency defensive preparations quickly while mobilizing loyal mountain vassals across surrounding territories. Inside Slat territory, Albert reviewed reports showing successful exile operations against Sword of Hero supporters. Meanwhile, corrupt officials connected with extremist groups disappeared rapidly after Sandal expelled influential supporters publicly. Throughout the kingdom, Sword of Hero influence weakened dramatically following continuous political scandals and investigations. Satisfied with recent progress, Albert instructed Warid carefully to spread damaging information regarding exposed hero associates. After Warid disappeared suddenly, Albert trusted mountain intelligence agents while Irina remained suspicious. Later that evening, Merida approached Albert affectionately while wearing revealing clothes inside Slat Castle. Embarrassed, Merida reacted shyly after Albert praised her appearance and unusual outfit enthusiastically. Wanting additional rewards afterward, Merida prepared dinner personally while proudly serving Albert inside their residence. During their private meal, Merida fed Albert lovingly while becoming flustered by his teasing behavior. During Diamond Month, Warid proudly delivered progress reports regarding newly constructed warehouse defenses to Albert. After reviewing plans carefully, Albert approved reinforced warehouses designed against catapult attacks and dangerous raids. Soon, Albert inspected completed food warehouses while preparing emergency supplies for future sieges carefully. Continuing preparations, Albert instructed workers carefully to prevent rodents damaging important stored provisions completely. Later that day, Werid reported Sword of Hero scandals spreading rapidly throughout Alexa Kingdom territories. Werid reported Sword of Hero survivors escaped toward mountain territories after losing support inside Alexa Kingdom. Preparing future negotiations carefully, Albert accepted Werid's offer supporting operations throughout mountain settlements. To ensure Albert's safety, Werid arranged trustworthy escorts before entering dangerous mountain territories. Soon Werid introduced his daughter Luminous, assigning her personally as Albert's temporary bodyguard. Although appearing gentle outwardly, Luminous possessed remarkable abilities while Merida admired her beastfolk appearance enthusiastically. Feeling anxious, Merida requested additional protection while Albert prepared dangerous mountain negotiations carefully. Touched by Liza's loyalty, Merida hugged her tightly while expressing overwhelming affection and gratitude. Before departing again, Albert entrusted Irina and Melvis carefully with managing Slat territory responsibilities. Preparing for another mission, Albert traveled toward mountain territories while Merida requested joining desperately. Despite Merida's complaints, Alicia forced her toward paperwork, while Albert continued his dangerous journey. Inside tribe headquarters, Hakim Warihara described mountain people customs and neutral political stance. Smiling calmly, Albert revealed the Demon King's command, demanding destruction of opposing mountain tribes. During the tense meeting, Albert assigned the Elwyn family, leading the upcoming military operation. Shocked by Albert's statement, Hakim admitted several mountain people rejected supporting the hero's faction. Seeking peace instead of conflict, Albert requested negotiations before unnecessary war consumed mountain territory. Across mountain regions, Albert planned alliances carefully, while preparing rewards for cooperative tribal leaders. Opening the treasure case, Albert offered gold bars securing peace among divided mountain communities. Although suspicious toward Empire, Hakim admitted radical hero supporters threatened stability across mountain tribes. Suddenly, Merida demanded extermination of every mountain believer opposing the Empire's growing authority completely. Remaining calm, Albert separated extremists from moderates while proposing stronger mountain people relations. Accepting Albert's proposal, Hakim prepared mountain tribes for dangerous conflict approaching soon. Before leaving, Hakim requested reports regarding every tribe supporting the hero's faction carefully. Days later, Albert entered Warihara territory and introduced himself to mountain villagers politely. Welcoming Albert warmly, residents shared food, alcohol, and stories about Hakim's growing influence. While drinking together, Albert investigated tribal loyalties and discovered increasing hero movement support secretly. Originally, Mountain People Society consisted of beastmen hunters and settled human farming communities together. After hero worship spread rapidly, disputes emerged between settlers and traditional beastmen mountain tribes. Growing tensions remained hidden because leaders feared outsiders learning about internal mountain conflicts completely. Following investigations, Albert discovered moderates dominated most tribes, while extremists represented dangerous smaller factions. According to Albert's findings, radical supporters lived near Alexa's border and rejected peaceful negotiations. Days later, Albert targeted undecided moderates, after confirming extremists drove the conflict primarily. Without warning, armed followers burned village fields, while accusing residents of hiding dangerous traitors secretly. Demanding larger donations, fanatics threatened peaceful villagers, despite loyalty toward hero religious teachings. Terrified citizens surrendered valuables immediately after believers labeled resisting villagers dangerous heretics publicly. Watching extortion continue, Albert realized villagers deeply hated the hero's violent radical supporters. After succeeding, Albert comforted Linus while she regretted deceiving innocent mountain villagers temporarily. Standing within the forest, Linus promised Albert continued support during every difficult mission faithfully. Later, Albert returned confiscated donations, earning gratitude from villagers suffering extremist oppression recently. Meanwhile, radical followers prepared another attack against southern mountain settlements under hero organization leadership. Inside headquarters, priests realized repeated village attacks destroyed their supporters and reputation gradually. Inside temple headquarters, Bleach prepared receiving believers offering generous religious donations respectfully. Disguised as loyal supporter, Albert presented gold bars while praising the hero's sacred mission publicly. Receiving blessings calmly, Albert pretended gratitude before mentioning an important concern requiring immediate attention. Opening the letter carefully, Bleach learned beastmen demanded action against corrupt temple members secretly. Convinced by Albert's scheme, Bleach dismissed investigations and ordered soldiers capturing the letter's writer. Accused of inciting rebellion, the faction leader was arrested by armed temple soldiers immediately. Following Albert's manipulation, the captured leader surrendered Bleach's secrets while begging desperately for survival. Soon, Albert arranged forged betrayal letters, deepening growing distrust among extremist supporters further. Meanwhile, Werid and his daughter spread accusations carefully, causing leaders executing one another repeatedly. Eventually, Bleach's weakened organization collapsed completely after fanatic conflicts escalated into violent power struggles. Inside Warihara village, Hakim learned tribes wanted him leading all mountain people ceremonially. Meanwhile, Albert explained Elwyn family would secretly control authority behind Hakim's neutral public position. Accepting the arrangement confidently, Werid promised loyalty, while Albert protected mountain tribes peacefully alive. Considering Albert's proposal carefully, Hakim agreed, uniting every village under shared leadership. Eventually, before departing, Albert assigned Hakim responsibility persuading remaining villages. Within 2 months successfully. Returning to Ashley Castle, Merida welcomed Albert happily after completing family leadership responsibilities successfully. As reward, Albert introduced Luminous as Merida's newest retainer and trusted subordinate officially. Excited by the appointment, Merida promoted Luminous into her personal security manager immediately. Later that evening, Merida dragged embarrassed Luminous away while preparing bedtime together eagerly upstairs. During the following month, Albert focused on projects while workers expanded settlement infrastructure steadily. Raymor's workers joined Albert's faction after rebuilding settlements abandoned by struggling refugees successfully. Meanwhile, Merida became beloved among village children, despite frightening adults with overwhelming strength, unexpectedly. Months later, Albert learned persuasion efforts succeeded and gathered tribal chiefs for negotiations immediately. Confident about preparations, Albert ordered Merida, preparing herself before destroying the Sword of Hero completely. Inside Warihara village, Hakim gathered tribal leaders to confirm agreements against the Sword of Hero. During discussions, several chiefs warned Albert that extremist followers still influenced certain eastern mountain tribes. Unexpectedly appearing beside Hakim, Albert shocked attendees after revealing himself as the Elwyn family strategist. Although surprised by Albert's youthful appearance, tribal leaders respected his intelligence and diplomatic achievements immediately. Later, Albert casually discussed regional affairs while secretly gathering information about influential tribal family connections. During another gathering, Albert warned leaders about repeating Sword of Hero violent fanaticism completely. Receiving unanimous support, Albert celebrated alongside villagers while strengthening trust through shared drinking festivities. Discussing conditions, Albert learned Bleach isolated himself within heavily guarded mountain fortress defenses recently. Recognizing the opportunity immediately, Albert ordered Merida preparing troops before attacking Bleach's organization directly. Soon, urgent reports reached Alexa's residence as military movements spread across mountain territories rapidly. Inside Alexa Kingdom, officials discovered documents linking Prince Orgus with Sword of Hero donations secretly. Shocked by evidence, nobles questioned whether forged signatures threatened Orgus's political reputation permanently. As defections increased rapidly, Orgus ordered investigators uncovering whoever leaked damaging financial donation information publicly. Meanwhile, Merida arrived alongside soldiers after Albert requested military assistance for mountain operations urgently. Pleased by Merida's speed, Albert realized their campaign could finally begin ahead, schedule successfully. Excited for battle, Merida and demon warriors prepared themselves before attacking extremist forces aggressively. Concerned about Ashley Castle's safety, Albert questioned Merida regarding defensive responsibilities during military campaigns. Despite understanding dangers, Merida insisted experienced commanders remained necessary throughout dangerous fortress assault operations. Annoyed by recklessness, Albert punished Merida and Preston before continuing preparations for the planned invasion. Standing before troops, Albert ordered Merida minimizing casualties while securing victory against enemy forces. Leading the assault personally, Merida commanded demon soldiers toward heavily defended mountain fortress aggressively. As defenders panicked inside, demon warriors advanced relentlessly, while arrows rained across battlefields continuously. Ignoring attacks completely, Preston charged forward fearlessly while breaking enemy defensive formations apart violently. Surrounded by archers, Preston deflected countless arrows effortlessly before continuing unstoppable fortress advance further. Watching battles calmly, Albert analyzed Preston's reckless fighting style while demon forces breached defenses. After breaching fortress gates, Preston eagerly led demon soldiers deeper into enemy territory aggressively. Meanwhile, Merida joined the assault enthusiastically, while Preston's squad overwhelmed defenders throughout corridors quickly. Unable enduring demon attacks, terrified soldiers abandoned positions and attempted escaping collapsing fortress desperately. Watching battles calmly, Albert praised troop coordination, while Merida complained about weak opponents repeatedly. Cornered inside narrow hallways, enemy soldiers attacked Merida recklessly before suffering complete defeat immediately. Surrounded by terrified soldiers, Merida overwhelmed every defender attacking her inside fortress hallways effortlessly. Despite defeating countless enemies already, Merida continued seeking stronger opponents, satisfying violent battle instincts completely. Terrified surviving soldiers realized Albert's strategies had completely shattered their remaining military resistance entirely. Before leaving battlefield operations, Albert entrusted Merida, eliminating remaining enemies throughout the captured fortress carefully. Meanwhile, underground, Bleach panicked immediately after hearing demon soldiers breaking through storage defenses successfully. Inside the underground fortress, Bleach discovered Albert infiltrated his hideout alongside armed demon soldiers successfully. Threatened by Albert immediately, Bleach revealed the hidden treasure location after suffering painful interrogation violently. Pretending kindness carefully, Albert promised Bleach safe escape after receiving information regarding hidden Imperial gold. Guided through secret mechanisms, Bleach exposed underground treasure storage containing enormous amounts of stolen wealth. Calculating future influence carefully, Albert ordered half the treasure distributed among supportive mountain people tribes. Warid praised Albert's intelligence, believing frightened mountain people would willingly support his dangerous political ambitions. Hakim celebrated future grandchildren while helping Warid transport enormous stolen treasure throughout hidden underground corridors. Bleach happily trusted Albert's promise, unknowingly walking directly toward hidden soldiers surrounding escape tunnels completely. Realizing Albert's betrayal too late, Bleach panicked desperately after discovering every escape route completely blocked. Albert mocked Bleach's foolish loyalty before transferring command authority directly toward Lady Merida during battle. Laughing excitedly, Merida terrified surrendering soldiers while swinging massive weapon across battlefields mercilessly. Enjoying overwhelming victories completely, Merida proudly observed frightened enemies retreating throughout ruined fortresses. Standing before captured survivors, Merida announced Bleach's defeat while demanding unconditional surrender immediately. Disappointed by surrendering enemies, Preston encouraged surviving soldiers continue fighting against demon warriors fearlessly. Unsatisfied with easy victories, Merida challenged remaining enemies' attacks simultaneously, despite overwhelming battlefield destruction. Following internal conflicts, Albert focused completely on weakening remaining Sword of Hero supporters strategically. Meanwhile, Merida and Preston happily anticipated future battles, while continuing supporting Albert's growing ambitions loyally. Inside Ashley Castle, Albert carefully reviewed expensive construction requests, supporting newly connected mountain settlements infrastructure. Soon, Preston and Merida arrived requesting another large-scale military training exercise approval immediately. Hearing their proposal, Albert worried because recent battles already consumed enormous war preparation funds previously. Ignoring Albert's concerns completely, Preston and Merida argued intensely regarding leadership during upcoming military operations. Annoyed by endless arguing, Albert punished Preston and Merida using strict Elwyn family reflection discipline. Albert scolded Preston and Merida harshly for abandoning Ashley Castle during dangerous military operations. Attempting excuses desperately, Preston blamed Merida while avoiding responsibility regarding Ashley Castle's weakened defenses completely. Confidently defending herself, Merida insisted Lizitan remained the best battlefield commander. During recent combat situations, ignoring further arguments, Albert assigned Merida enormous administrative paperwork, instead additional reflection room punishment, immediately. Realizing overwhelming workload awaited her, Merida reluctantly accepted Albert's strict administrative disciplinary decision silently. Inside Ashley Castle, Albert reviewed proposals increasing battlefield medics and prosthetic research funding carefully. Recognizing severe wartime injuries, Albert considered recruiting Alco family specialists, improving demon tribe medical treatment. After approving technological investments, Albert continued reviewing reports regarding expanding Marie's trading company operations strategically. Warid warned Albert rising military expenses threatened exhausting resources supporting mountain people alliances across territories. Fortunately, Warid delivered valuable mountain goods helping Albert stabilize expanding trade operations successfully. Albert discovered unusual firewater burning strongly, prompting curiosity regarding potential industrial and military applications. Warid explained abundant petroleum reserves existed locally, although difficult transporting safely across surrounding territories. Recognizing petroleum's potential, Albert planned developing advanced weapons, supporting demon tribe military operations strategically. Later, Albert considered citrus fruits and herbs useful neutralizing unpleasant petroleum odors during transportation processes. Ashley suggested wealthy nobles purchasing fragrant products enthusiastically, helping Albert expand profitable regional trading networks. Albert proposed establishing distillation facilities, creating profitable aromatic oils supporting Goshuit village economic development successfully. Ashley approved cosmetic production plans, believing wealthy nobles would eagerly purchase expensive essential oil products. Several weeks later, Marita enthusiastically tested fragrant prototypes, while Albert carefully observed customer reactions. Luminous received lavender oil treatments personally administered carefully, helping Albert evaluate fragrance quality and effectiveness. Eventually, scented oils and cosmetics achieved massive commercial success, greatly enriching Goshuit tribe merchants financially. Albert expanded cosmetic distribution nationwide, increasing mountain people prosperity through Merida's successful commercial partnerships. During Rose Quartz Month, Albert, Merida, and Lies received summonses from the Demon King. Merida ignored Albert's concerns completely, believing their royal summons involved harmless administrative discussions instead. Later, Merida relaxed beside Luminous, enjoying playful moments while temporarily abandoning official responsibilities. Luminous blushed nervously whenever Merida touched her tail, causing embarrassing reactions throughout their interaction. Luminous hurt Merida playfully before Albert interrupted, reminding them about scheduled royal audience preparations. Inside private chambers, Merida greeted Demon King happily, while servants prepared luxurious welcoming meals. Merida presented valuable fruit wine gifts proudly, hoping Demon King enjoyed imported beverages greatly. Demon King appreciated Albert's perfumes immediately, praising pleasant fragrance and refined production quality highly. Merida offered additional cosmetic products confidently, supporting Albert's expanding commercial influence throughout demon territories. Albert and Lies entered respectfully, while Demon King welcomed them, preparing discussions beside imported wine. During dinner, Demon King praised Albert's tactics, acknowledging mountain people territory changed dramatically under Elwyn leadership. Albert explained mountain people loyalty resulted from Elwyn influence, strengthening valuable territorial alliances considerably. Merida's popularity with Luminous convinced Demon King abandoning extermination plans benefited political relationships greatly. Albert realized Demon King intended eliminating mountain people completely, narrowly avoiding disastrous political consequences previously. Demon King praised Albert's achievements, acknowledging mountain people integration strengthened imperial stability throughout territories. Albert nervously explained complications occurred recently, despite Demon King trusting his strategic intelligence completely. Albert admitted assigning Lies Ashley Castle responsibility created political misunderstandings among important demon families. Merida defended Lies passionately, reminding everyone she rescued demon tribe members during dangerous conflicts successfully. Albert remained cautious, believing Lies required improvement before earning complete political trust permanently. Albert informed Demon King regarding noble families supporting remnants from Sword Hero faction secretly. Reports revealed Floiga family prepared defecting toward Alexa Kingdom, threatening regional political stability severely. Albert explained enemy armies planned attacking Ashley Castle, while supporting Alco military operations secretly. Floiga soldiers recruited surviving Sword Hero followers desperately, strengthening forces before upcoming territorial conflicts significantly. Albert proposed destroying Floiga family entirely, allowing Demon King expanding territorial authority successfully. Demon King approved Albert's ruthless proposal, legally targeting Floiga family through official imperial authority immediately. Lord Glyce's incompetence convinced Demon King supporting Albert's aggressive plans benefited imperial stability greatly everywhere. Albert recommended assigning Lies investigations carefully, proving loyalty toward Demon King through successful military operations. Lies accepted responsibilities proudly, while Merida enthusiastically anticipated destroying Floiga forces during upcoming battles completely. Demon King encouraged overwhelming force against resistance, transforming military invasion into officially sanctioned territorial inspection missions. Merida organized Elwyn forces carefully, while Albert prepared formations against approaching Alexa Kingdom armies. Preston and Merida accepted Albert's strict commands, avoiding punishment inside dreaded special reflection chambers. Albert accompanied excited Merida toward Floiga territory, anticipating battles against kingdoms supporting noble families. Inside Southern Village, Lies approached residents alongside Albert's armed Imperial investigation squad carefully. Facing the nervous chief, Albert declared Imperial authority while guards surrounded the residents silently. Without hesitation, Lies warned everyone against resistance as anxious villagers lowered their heads nervously. Suddenly, Merida entered carrying enormous sword, frightening villagers recognizing the legendary bloodthirsty demon immediately. Raising both hands desperately, the chief insisted hidden villagers were harmless visiting relatives, temporarily, calmly confronting the chief. Lies exposed hidden cooperation with dangerous mountain tribe criminals recently. Hooded villagers questioned Albert angrily, doubting whether Gleis approved the imperial investigation occurring there. Maintaining authority, Albert warned crowds against placing Gleis's influence above the emperor's command publicly. Soon imperial soldiers discovered suspicious gold ingots and secret letters connected toward Gleis's faction. Smiling coldly, Lees announced rebellion charges while condemning the chief's family under imperial law immediately. Terrified by Merita's sword, the chief denied every rebellion accusation against himself immediately. Sweating heavily, the frightened chief blamed Gleis while insisting he never opposed imperial government before. Listening carefully, Albert demanded honesty after hearing the chief offer half his hidden fortune. Grinning dangerously, Merita threatened harsher punishment, while lowering her blade toward the trembling chief directly. Completely broken by fear, the chief surrendered everything while begging desperately for mercy and survival. Relieved by Albert's decision, the chief thanked him while promising complete obedience from now onward. Meanwhile, frightened villagers swore silence as Albert warned against hiding additional criminal activities calmly anymore. Smiling confidently, Albert revealed imperial soldiers already investigated the tribe's remaining secret hideouts successfully. Across the village, imperial forces arrested tribe members connected with Sword of Hero organization quickly. Later, the chief's son accepted responsibility quietly, helping authorities complete arrests without further resistance. Discovering his father's rebellion involvement, the chief's son assisted imperial forces with valuable information secretly. During investigations, Albert trusted the young man enough, assigning dangerous capture operations carefully nearby. Although Merita opposed leniency strongly, Albert accepted betrayal risks while trusting the frightened youth continuously. Deeply moved, the chief's son pledged loyalty while Albert prepared precautions against future betrayal quietly. Soon, reports revealed Gleis and followers attempted escaping toward Kingdom of Alexa. Urgently, near the border, Merita pursued Gleis's group, while terrifying soldiers scattered across mountain roads. Believing safety awaited beyond imperial territory, Gleis ordered followers, ignoring Merita's relentless pursuit behind them. Watching calmly from horseback, Albert encouraged Merita while soldiers prepared surrounding attacks against fleeing enemies immediately. Realizing dangerous formation mistakes, Gleis ordered separation desperately before Merita hunted remaining traitors mercilessly. Suddenly, arrows struck Gleis repeatedly, while furious soldiers cursed Merita during chaotic border pursuit battles. With terrifying speed, Merita defeated fleeing soldiers, while finishing remaining border resistance completely. Meanwhile, Albert waited calmly beside companions while monitoring kingdom armies approaching planned ambush locations. Without delay, Merita ordered movement toward Slat territory, while wolves collected battlefield remained silently. Meanwhile, Duke Brolish guided Alexa armies confidently through hidden shortcuts into Slat territory directly. Believing victory guaranteed, Duke Brolish prepared seizing Slat Castle before attacking distracted Elven forces immediately. Confident about victory, Duke Brolish planned surrounding Elven forces through coordinated multi-directional attacks simultaneously. Meanwhile, Merita watched marching armies calmly, while considering them helpless prey wandering into danger unknowingly. Completely unaware, Alexa soldiers advanced carelessly after trusting false intelligence from Warid's manipulated information network. Growing impatient quickly, Lies urged Albert beginning operations before Warid escaped beyond prepared battlefield traps. Accepting the timing immediately, Albert launched ambushes while Merita's forces released massive rocks against advancing enemies. Without warning, enormous rocks crashed downward, crushing horses while panic spread among Alexa soldiers. Separated by fallen boulders, confused troops struggled regrouping, after retreat routes became blocked completely behind. Watching calmly, Albert ordered another attack phase while Warid's allies prepared hidden barrels carefully. Moments later, strange liquid covered frightened soldiers before hidden warriors ignited flames across battlefields violently. Surrounded by fire, terrified soldiers attempted retreating while Duke Brolish forced troops forward desperately. Pleased by spreading flames, Merita praised burning black liquid collected from Moon Mountain previously. Excited for battle, Lees gathered warriors while Albert encouraged attacking frightened enemy rear guards immediately. Rushing recklessly ahead, Merita overwhelmed retreating soldiers, while archers prepared surrounding attacks from hidden positions, trapped between flames and cliffs. Desperate Alexa soldiers charged forward, despite certain death awaiting them. Swinging her massive blade joyfully, Merita challenged surviving enemies while Lies demanded remaining opponents herself. Leading Albert's strategy confidently, Lies ordered soldiers blocking enemy escape routes across nearby battlefields immediately. Charging recklessly forward, Merita overwhelmed terrified soldiers while spreading panic throughout collapsing enemy formations everywhere. Suddenly, a massive demon warrior confronted advancing troops aggressively, preparing brutal resistance against Merita's approaching forces. Facing Alexa's battlefield forces, Merida recognized giant northern exiles, supporting enemy soldiers during fighting, confident about victory. Lord Dama challenged Merida directly while seeking status through defeating opponents. Without hesitation, Merida blocked Dama's enormous weapon while surrounding soldiers watched their confrontation nervously. Despite resisting fiercely, Merida became overwhelmed temporarily, shocking troops witnessing her forced retreat backward. Laughing arrogantly, Lord Dama mocked Merida confidently while preparing another devastating attack against enemies. Recovering quickly, Merida counterattacked aggressively, while forcing Dama backward during their violent battlefield confrontation nearby. Smiling confidently, Merida mocked Dama's strength repeatedly, while avoiding every reckless attack effortlessly during combat, enraged beyond reason. Dama charged wildly again, while Merida continued humiliating his failed attacks publicly. Without hesitation, Merida shattered Dama's teeth brutally, while reminding enemies about her overwhelming battlefield strength, clearly completely defeated. Dama collapsed painfully, while Merida mocked his weakness before frightened soldiers silently. Standing calmly, Merida ignored Dama's threats while provoking reckless battlefield attacks immediately, catching Dama's massive weapon barehanded. Merida shocked soldiers, witnessing overwhelming physical strength firsthand. Growing furious instantly, Merida prepared brutal punishment after Dama's repeated insults during combat. Without hesitation, Merida hurled enormous boulders violently toward Dama, crushing soldiers completely. Terrified troops retreated immediately while believing Merida served a terrifying evil god. Smiling confidently, Merida noticed enemy commanders disappearing while searching battlefields for targets. Observing spreading flames, soldiers warned Merida about slowing movements across burning battlefields. Determined to prove herself, Merida hunted enemy commanders while carrying her massive weapon. Meanwhile, Duke Brolish organized remaining soldiers nervously after enemy cavalry approached battlefield positions. Charging through collapsing formations, Merida targeted isolated commanders, attempting desperate resistance. Introducing herself proudly, Merida targeted Duke Brolish directly, while advancing through collapsing enemy formations, surrounding terrified commanders. Merida slaughtered defending soldiers while pursuing Duke Brolish relentlessly across battlefields. Enjoying combat, Merida scattered troops violently, while commanders demanded reinforcements desperately. Closing distance rapidly, Merida cornered Duke Brolish while blocking every escape attempt. Suddenly, Merida's strike missed unexpectedly, leaving soldiers staring toward battlefield shadows nervously. Restraining Duke Brolish firmly, Merida threatened execution while soldiers hesitated approaching their commander. Feeling exhaustion suddenly, Merida searched for Wraithor while struggling to maintain consciousness during battle. Using Duke Brolish carefully, Merida forced soldiers clearing escape routes across battlefield areas. Noticing Merida weakening, soldiers attempted rescuing Duke Brolish while begging for mercy. Suddenly, arrows struck Duke Brolish repeatedly while Merida questioned soldiers betraying their commander, leaving collapsing battlefields quickly. Exhausted, Merida continued pursuing Duke Brolish, despite worsening physical conditions. Suddenly feeling nauseous, Merida struggled walking properly, while her vision blurred across burning battlefield surroundings. Noticing Merida weakening dangerously, enemy soldiers attempted surrounding her while preparing another desperate attack immediately. Arriving suddenly beside Merida, Wrathor defeated approaching enemies swiftly while questioning her unusual battlefield conditions seriously. Smiling weakly, Merida admitted exhaustion honestly, while trusting Wraithor, handling remaining battlefield enemies temporarily. Merida carried Duke Brolish's severed head, while secretly hiding worsening exhaustion from surrounding allies. Wrathor enthusiastically led demon soldiers forward, terrifying retreating enemy forces across burning battlefields. Concerned about Albert discovering weaknesses, Merida requested assistance reaching advantageous positions overlooking enemy encampments. Meanwhile, Wraithor aggressively commanded assaulting warriors directly toward heavily defended Elwyn Army Command headquarters. Despite worsening sickness, Merida advanced carefully, while enemy soldiers struggled resisting Wraithor's brutal offensive. Wrathor informed Albert their successful campaign caused devastating enemy casualties and massive battlefield captures. Albert calmly reviewed reports describing executed nobles, defeated officers, and overwhelming battlefield victories achieved. Pleased with minimal losses, Albert confirmed their dangerous fire strategy successfully crushed opposing rebel forces. Financial reports revealed confiscated enemy assets generated enormous profits, despite expensive military suppression operations conducted. Mountain tribes strengthened Albert's influence considerably while providing valuable laborers, resources, and loyal regional alliances. Albert welcomed victorious Merida home, celebrating weakening Elwyn forces and successful battlefield conquests. Suddenly exhausted, Merida collapsed beside Albert, frightening attendants with alarming sickness symptoms immediately. While healers rushed desperately toward Merida's tent, enemy commanders angrily discussed catastrophic military failures. Royal officers received Duke Brolish's severed head, alongside messages describing devastating battlefield humiliation. Despite overwhelming defeat, surviving commanders carefully examined mysterious letters accompanying Brolish's gruesome remains. Exiled nobles secretly celebrated Albert's downfall while plotting violent conquest throughout weakened Tiana territories. Fearing retaliation, advisors warned commanders about southern rebellions, threatening remaining loyal military strongholds immediately. Desperate officials prepared emergency defenses, while urgently distributing letters requesting reinforcements across surrounding regions. Enraged commanders cursed Albert repeatedly, threatening severe punishments against soldiers refusing dangerous frontline deployments. At Ashley Castle, Merida remained bedridden, fearing her worsening condition might become fatal. Seeing her distress, Alberto clasped Merida's hand and promised he would protect her no matter what. Before Alberto could calm himself, a maid reported Lady Frey's arrival, claiming she understood Merida's condition. Frey explained that Merida's suffering did not come from disease, poison, curses, or injuries. After reflecting on Frey's question, Merida remembered that her monthly cycle had been absent for months. Alicia congratulated Merida and prepared warm clothes, while Alberto remained confused by her unexpected excitement. After hearing Alicia's explanation, Alberto realized Merida was pregnant, leaving her shocked and speechless. Merida repeated the news in disbelief, then rose from bed before Alberto warned against sudden movement. Frey suggested offering prayers for the baby, then reminded Alberto his responsibilities would increase. Another warrior praised Alberto's accomplishments while Alberto searched a cave for supplies and answers. Inside the cave, a veteran warrior assured Alberto that several targets would arrive soon. The warrior explained their attack pattern and instructed Alberto to strike before they lunged. When a massive snake emerged from the darkness, Alberto froze briefly, stunned by its enormous size. The warrior encouraged Alberto to claim the serpent's head, believing the offering would bless Merida and their child. Thinking of Merida and their unborn child, Alberto charged forward and confronted the swift serpent. After studying the serpent's movements, Alberto waited, then struck when the creature launched forward. The warrior praised Alberto's success, but warned that spilled blood would attract many more hungry serpents. Surrounded by approaching snakes, Alberto questioned whether gathering blessings for his family required such dangerous trials. The warrior dismissed Alberto's concerns and insisted enduring hardship was necessary to secure greater blessings. While worrying about Merida's childbirth, Alberto remembered even advanced societies feared unexpected complications during pregnancy. Remembering Merida and their unborn child, Alberto strengthened his resolve and prepared to face every serpent. Alberto blocked a charging serpent, then counterattacked, earning praise from the veteran warrior. As more serpents emerged from deeper tunnels, Alberto prayed for blessings and continued fighting. After defeating many serpents, Alberto lowered his sword while the warrior counted the collected offerings. Exhausted by blood and foul odors, Alberto endured his discomfort and helped gather every severed head. When Alberto returned, Merida praised his efforts and felt reassured about their child's future. The collected serpent heads impressed everyone, proving Alberto had endured considerable danger for his family. Merida ordered preparations for the blessing ritual, while the gathered warriors celebrated the successful offering. At the Temple of Alexius, Alberto entrusted the offerings to the high priest for inspection. After accepting the offerings, the priests prepared a traditional ceremony to invoke blessings upon Alberto's loved ones. Following the successful ritual, Merida praised Alberto's determination, and the celebration began with drinks for everyone. The warriors congratulated them, expressing confidence that their child would inherit remarkable strength and courage. As the feast continued, guests debated the baby's future while discussing family traditions and martial training. Hearing their exaggerated plans, Alberto became overwhelmed and rested against Merida while she watched. Setting those concerns aside, Alberto and Merida focused on welcoming their child safely into the world. Resting beside Merida, Alberto joked that he could handle family responsibilities while staying close to her. Merida became excited after learning imperial law allowed Alberto temporary leave during her pregnancy and recovery. Alberto assured Merida that her well-being mattered as much as their child, easing her worries. Reflecting on their journey together, Alberto realized his ambitions had changed into genuine love and devotion. Alberto and Merida imagined their future together and eagerly awaited their child's arrival. As the celebration continued, the gathering slowly turned into a friendly competition between proud muscular warriors. 1 month later, Alberto reviewed financial reports while managing affairs during Marida's temporary absence. Earlier that month, Alberto had escorted Marida and Lise toward the imperial capital by carriage. The journey aimed to report Lise's achievements and arrange temporary replacements for Merida's official duties. With Merida's pregnancy requiring attention, trusted officials and Alicia assumed greater responsibilities throughout the territory. Lise earned widespread praise after restoring order to the chaotic Bafust region following the Floiga family's downfall. Although challenges remained, officials considered Lise's achievements impressive and credited her efforts with strengthening regional stability. Upon returning home, Merida received a warm welcome and anticipated sharing encouraging news with Alberto. Merida revealed her meeting had exceeded expectations, surprising Alberto with news of valuable territorial gains. Excited about their growing future, Alberto and Merida imagined raising children together under safer circumstances. While reviewing an official document, Alberto expected favorable news until the contents left him completely stunned. Reading further, Alberto realized the promised Bafust territory was replaced with ownership rights over Arcana instead. Examining the map, Alberto learned Arcana once belonged to Alexa but later became imperial territory. Although the arrangement appeared questionable, Alberto recognized the region no longer belonged to the kingdom of Alexa. Meanwhile, Merida interpreted the decree and believed conquering Arcana would officially secure their new territory. Alberto felt disappointed because he expected Bafust as a reward, yet received no secure territory. Examining the map, Alberto realized Arcana remained hostile land and suspected the Demon King was testing him. That evening, overwhelmed by frustration and exhaustion, Alberto lay awake and mourned his misfortune. A new year began, and Alberto celebrated turning 17, while those around him admired his growth. As Merida's pregnancy progressed, Alberto considered that important responsibility removed from his growing workload. Despite recent victories, Alberto struggled with neglected government affairs and spent months resolving accumulated administrative tasks. To improve efficiency, Alberto expanded his intelligence network and recruited capable members from the Offshoot tribe. Meanwhile, Luminous continued supporting House Elwyn by carrying out missions and protecting important people. As development progressed, standardized laws, irrigation projects, and tax records strengthened House Elwyn's growing economy. Despite these improvements, the costly campaign against the Sword Hero left Alberto seeking additional sources of revenue. Thinking about Merida, their child, and Arcana's future, Alberto resolved to increase earnings significantly. The Demon King's castle, discussions began regarding proposals that would affect control over imperial territories. During the debate, Dors von Warspan opposed the motion and demanded restrictions remain enforced. During the council meeting, the Demon King listened to the nobles before promising to review their concerns. After the session ended, the Demon King expressed frustration because Dors opposed nearly every proposed reform. Determined to protect the empire, the Demon King resolved to prevent incompetent figures from approaching power. Reflecting on history, she recalled how Emperor Wagner's disastrous rule weakened governance throughout the empire. Poor leadership had encouraged noble rebellions and military failures, creating years of instability across the realm. Recalling past tragedies, the Demon King explained how reformists were silenced and assassinated before achieving change. The deaths of those reformers left lasting scars, shaping the convictions of many loyal noble families. During a later imperial election, opponents unfairly blamed the Demon King for those earlier deaths. Although the accusations lacked merit, rival factions exploited them and damaged her political standing. The controversy strengthened Doris's influence, allowing him to gain supporters, despite losing the election. The Demon King explained that Arcana remained difficult to conquer, yet Merida possessed capable allies beside her. Believing Alberto could become an exceptional ruler, the Demon King entrusted part of her plans to him. Licht pledged full cooperation if Alberto requested assistance, hoping to restore honor to his family. After receiving his orders, Licht returned home and began preparing for future operations. Meanwhile, Merida invited Liz closer and warmly shared her excitement about the growing child. While resting indoors, Merida felt the baby move strongly, and she excitedly shared the moment with Liz. A maid informed Alberto that a candidate for the wet nurse position had arrived, trying to remain professional. Alberto prepared for the interview, despite distractions caused by unusual introductions. The applicant appeared embarrassed while Alberto questioned several strange details about her appearance. Alicia and Luminous concluded the interview outcome seemed obvious from Alberto's reaction. While discussing the wet nurse candidate, Merida approved and expressed confidence in the woman's suitability. Merida explained that entrusting her child required complete trust, so she wanted to evaluate the candidate personally. The nervous applicant admitted a concern, while Merida encouraged her to explain the issue. After hearing the explanation, Alberto realized the concern was manageable and reassured the candidate. Alicia revealed she had coached the applicant beforehand, leaving Alberto amused by the entire situation. After the interview concluded, Berta officially became Lissa's wet nurse and settled into castle life. The rabbit beastmen's gentle nature made them ideal servants, leading many families to hire them. As wealthy households expanded, demand for skilled servants increased throughout the region during the new year. Recognizing the opportunity, Alberto's network trained rabbit beastmen and placed them in influential households. By New Year celebrations, Alberto's organization had gained new income sources while expanding its information network. Merida discovered many retainers had become complacent and neglected their responsibilities. Alberto noted that even government officials seemed distracted after spending extended periods away from their duties. Unwilling to tolerate declining standards, Merida demanded renewed discipline and urged everyone to pursue greater achievements. After her warning, the retainers apologized, while Alberto reminded them of Merida's upcoming leave. Merida encouraged everyone to work harder, explaining their efforts would benefit both their families and future generations. Merida warned everyone that another demanding year awaited them, but the retainers promised their unwavering support. Watching the crowd's response, Alberto credited Alicia's efforts while acknowledging Merida's growing influence within House Elwyn. Merida declared that once her child arrived, they would resume their military ambitions. Before enthusiasm spread further, Alberto reminded everyone that decisions about war remained entirely his responsibility. After the meeting ended, the warriors proposed training exercises, eager to begin the year's preparations. Although pregnant, Merida insisted on observing the upcoming training exercises and encouraging the warriors. When Merida requested additional funding, Alberto refused and reminded her about the limited training budget. Alberto warned that excessive training requests would require salary reductions, immediately discouraging further complaints from everyone. Faced with Alberto's proposal, the officers abandoned their demands and accepted the financial limitations. After the discussion, Merida returned to rest while the officers prepared for physical conditioning drills. Alberto dismissed the gathering and ordered every civil servant to perform responsibilities properly throughout the year. As officials departed, Alberto cheerfully admitted that his own workload remained substantial despite the meeting. Luminous arrived beside a royal messenger who carried an announcement directly from the Demon King. The messenger explained that the Demon King celebrated Merida's pregnancy and granted Alberto another reward. Confused but intrigued, Alberto opened the sealed letter immediately, wondering what unexpected reward awaited him. Inside royal chamber, Albert examined letter appointing Lady Merida Arcana territory landowner officially. Soon masked envoy promised noble rewards, after conquering territories and capturing noble Licht successfully. Hearing conditions, Albert realized Elwyn family supported dangerous political responsibilities across unstable kingdom. Meanwhile, Lady Merida maintained territorial control, while demon guards protected surrounding lands from opposition forces. Because of successful strategies, family reputation improved greatly, earning respected Viscount promotion eventually. Within Lancia Empire, nobles received 11 official ranks personally granted by Emperor, except royalty. Among royal houses, 4 independent families protected imperial authority while maintaining military responsibilities. Meanwhile, 4 Grand Duke families possessed authority, powerful enough to remove Emperor collectively. During ceremony, Demon Emperor appointed Lady Merida Baroness, granting military authority during wartime situations. Studying maps carefully, Albert realized expanding Arcana would place heavier responsibilities upon Merida's influence. Confidently, Albert promised the royal envoy he would conquer Arcana territory and capture noble Lich successfully. Latter, Warrid congratulated Albert while discussing risky plans, despite uncertain royal government promises. Preparing carefully, Albert joined Alexa team and trusted companions before traveling toward dangerous frontier territories. Inside Zeril territory, Albert noticed the region appeared deserted with few residents living nearby. Observing passing boats closely, Albert realized riverside areas possessed strong potential for commercial development. Studying Arcana maps, Albert realized the frontline location created dangerous opportunities against enemy forces. Observing river carefully, Albert discovered defensive positions could stop enemy crossings during invasions. Elsewhere, Orgus worried enemy reinforcements might arrive, quickly changing campaign battlefield situations. Confident soldiers believed Preston and Forte could defend strategic positions against incoming attacks. Hearing that possibility, Albert understood troop supplies would strengthen battlefield mobility and response speed. Before entering Arcana territory, Albert prepared disguises carefully, while companions reviewed infiltration plans together. Disguised as merchants, Barid and Albert traveled cautiously, while avoiding suspicious local authorities nearby. Crossing mountain roads, Albert realized attacking Arcana from Ashley territory would be extremely difficult militarily. Beyond cliffs, isolated settlements functioned like defensive outposts, protecting narrow paths toward castle routes. Observing winding tracks, Albert questioned whether Alexa reinforcements could reach Arcana Castle quickly. After reviewing intelligence, Albert developed strategies carefully while planning covert operations against Arcana defenses. Traveling along cliffs, Albert discovered enemy supplies remained vulnerable from elevated attack positions above. Standing before Arcana Castle, Albert realized steep cliffs naturally protected fortress from invading armies. Despite weak defenders, Albert understood prolonged sieges would still cause severe Allied casualties. Elsewhere, arrogant retainers abused civilians while blocking important roads throughout Mountain Passage carelessly. Arrogant senior retainers insulted villagers while boasting about serving Lord Lick's noble family. Frustrated residents complained about unfair taxes and incompetent outsiders controlling territorial affairs carelessly. During secret discussions, rumors spread claiming Arcana tax revenues supported the kingdom of Alexa. Listening nearby, Albert discovered hostility between foreign retainers and local residents everywhere. Years earlier, Lick's father recruited local retainers, creating rival factions throughout Arcana territory. Although senior retainers were minorities, they held greater political influence than local administrators. Years earlier, Lord Lick escaped imperial pressure and hid inside Arcana Castle under protection. Lick's betrayal created massive political chaos, leaving the Demon Emperor unable to respond. Meanwhile, Elwyn family gained victories against Alexa, while rumors blamed Lick for instability. After studying conflicts carefully, Albert understood divisions between retainers and local factions clearly. Smiling warmly, Minas warned Albert while noticing his dangerous schemes against Donovan Group already embarrassed. Minas admired Albert's dedication, while Barid joked about future grandchildren happily blushing. Minas promised support for Albert throughout their difficult Arcana mission together. Reaching Arcana settlements, Barid received greetings while residents welcomed Nicholas with honor. That evening, representatives invited Albert's group while preparing a banquet for their arrival. During dinner, Albert praised Nicholas while discussing dangerous conditions in Arcana mountain routes. Calmly introducing himself, Nicholas explained responsibility for resolving disputes between Arcana political factions. While drinking quietly, Albert realized Nicholas maintained balance without angering retainers or locals. Throughout banquet, Nicholas remained influential because residents trusted his judgment during conflicts. Before leaving, Albert offered discounted alcohol supplies, strengthening relations with Lord Nicholas. While observing merchant failures, Albert realized nobles rarely trusted unfamiliar traders near Lord Licht. Nicholas admitted controlling Arcana later would provide benefits despite dangerous political complications around Licht. Quietly drinking, Albert shaped conquest strategies, while feeling guilty about deceiving Lord Nicholas. During settlement visits, residents explained Nicholas arranged meetings between merchants and influential officials. Villagers revealed poor harvests and rising food prices, creating severe shortages throughout Arcana. Gathering information, Albert promised delayed supplies while continuing covert operations in Arcana secretly. Growing resentment spread among retainers because taxes increased while harvest failures devastated communities. Exploring borderlands, Albert discovered oxidized silver veins beneath rocky surfaces in abandoned mines. Miners reported silver deposits near Ashley territory could generate enormous profits for Elwyn family. Satisfied, Albert instructed Werid to strengthen Arcana relations before returning toward Ashley territory. Before departing, Barid assigned guards, while arranging escorts across the dangerous river crossing carefully. Praising Werid, Albert rewarded Luminous, because the covert mission succeeded beyond expectations. During carriage ride home, Minas nervously remembered family expectations about bearing Albert's future child. Later Minas studied Irene, Sand's romance book, while hoping to become Albert's ideal wife. Blushing intensely, Minas practiced tearful expressions awkwardly, while seeking Albert's approval romantically. Following Irene, Sand's advice, Minas practiced physical contact while Albert observed carefully. Nervously blushing, Minas struggled maintaining movements while attempting gentle interactions beside Albert. Guiding Minas, Albert demonstrated touching techniques while accidentally startling her sensitive tail. Their playful interactions continued throughout carriage, journey returning toward Ashley Castle together. Inside Alexa territory, Prince Orgus ignored warnings about postponing expeditions, despite growing political instability everywhere. Meanwhile, furious advisors warned Orgus that Prince Goran's influence continued expanding across powerful noble factions. Consumed by ambition, Orgus demanded loyal supporters while planning ruthless purges after claiming the imperial throne. Hearing those reckless declarations, senior retainers feared Goran would eventually receive overwhelming noble support. Blinded by arrogance, Orgus threatened opponents confidently, while believing military authority guaranteed unquestioned national control, enraged completely. Prince Orgus dismissed loyal warnings, while blaming Prince Goran for political conflicts everywhere. Later, Orgus angrily summoned Licht, while struggling emotionally inside the increasingly unstable royal court environment. Unexpectedly, Lord Zazan revealed Licht already departed, leaving Orgus frustrated about losing strategic military support. Calmly, Zazan suggested abandoning Alexa, while Orgus refused wasting valuable time beside weak human allies. Despite dangerous circumstances, Orgus arrogantly insisted surviving easily, while remaining safely inside Alexa Kingdom borders. Calmly, Zazan warned Prince Orgus their reckless ambitions would eventually destroy both leadership positions. Examining detailed maps carefully, Orgus discovered Alexa Kingdom already suffered devastating military defeats across several territories. Meanwhile, Zazan revealed multiple regions betrayed Alexa, surrendering control directly toward advancing imperial forces. Studying river routes closely, Orgus realized imperial armies could rapidly invade Tiana after capturing Arcana territory. Despite those warnings, Orgus arrogantly dismissed unusual imperial strategies while underestimating Elancia Empire's dangerous tactical planning. Across southern territories, powerful noble houses mobilized thousands of soldiers supporting Prince Goran's growing military campaign. Hearing those reports, Orgus panicked immediately, while Zazan confidently predicted reinforcement routes becoming completely blocked. Meanwhile, Zazan urged strengthening Arcana defenses carefully, because enemy surprise attacks threatened vulnerable territories constantly. Reluctantly, Orgus requested additional food supplies and rebuilt docks, supporting larger transport vessels entering Arcana. Despite agreeing eventually, Orgus hesitated anxiously because expanded docks might later benefit invading imperial armies strategically. Before departing, Zazan promised prepared reinforcements, while reminding Orgus Arcana protected his political survival. Alone, Orgus realized abandoning campaigns now could completely destroy his chances claiming the imperial throne. Despite frustrations, Orgus decided defending Arcana successfully offered better political opportunities than retreating toward capital. Meanwhile, Albert returned safely toward Ashley Castle, while thanking Stefan and Lady Leia respectfully. Inside Ashley Castle, cheerful demon sisters proudly prepared comfortable clothing, while excitedly dressing their beloved sibling together. Inside Ashley Castle, Albert carefully convinced Lady Morita before accompanying Leia outside together. Meanwhile, cheerful sisters relaxed happily together while preparing tea and testing newly tailored comfortable clothing. Later that evening, Albert thanked Stefan sincerely because Leia genuinely enjoyed visiting Ashley Castle recently together. During quiet discussions, Stefan praised Morita warmly, while Albert promised raising future heirs. Confidently, Albert and Stefan discussed strengthening future Elwyn leaders through balanced intelligence and physical abilities. During private discussions, Albert requested Stefan's advice regarding Arcana territory's dangerous military situation. Meanwhile, Stefan acknowledged Marida recently received Arcana territory despite the castle's overwhelming defensive structure. Explaining further, Albert revealed Lord Licht remained trapped inside Arcana Castle, while bandits attacked merchant caravans. After hearing everything carefully, Stefan questioned Albert directly about possible strategies conquering heavily fortified Arcana Castle. Smiling calmly, Stefan admitted visiting Ashley partly involved judging Albert's intelligence and strategic planning abilities. Confidently, Albert declared the Elwyn family would attack Arcana, despite overwhelming enemy defensive advantages everywhere. Although surprised initially, Stefan realized Albert already prepared detailed strategies conquering Arcana's powerful fortress successfully. Carefully unfolding documents, Albert presented Arcana vassal information while explaining their divided political allegiances. According to Albert's investigation, local nobles secretly supported imperial factions instead of Alexa Kingdom leadership. Impressed, Stefan praised Albert's intelligence network while recognizing growing loyalty toward Elancia Empire throughout Arcana. Calmly, Albert explained plans persuading Arcana's local retainers into supporting Elancia Empire rule, strategically completely. Meanwhile, Albert requested Stefan's assistance guaranteeing land ownership rewards for defecting Arcana retainers successfully together. Additionally, Albert proposed blockading Arcana rivers completely, while preventing supply transportation across surrounding territories entirely. According to Albert's investigation, Arcana stored emergency food supplies because previous harvests and wars devastated production. Hearing those plans, Stefan approved deploying disguised troops while preparing starvation tactics against Arcana defenders strategically. Following Albert's strategy, Stefan ordered river blockades while targeting Arcana retainers opposing Imperial interests. Confidently, Stefan believed prolonged blockades would weaken Arcana forces and destabilize hostile noble factions gradually. Before departing, Stefan entrusted Albert with protecting Lady Leia while traveling toward the Imperial capital tomorrow. Meanwhile, Albert promised the Elwyn family would assume complete responsibility, escorting Lady Leia safely everywhere. Several days later, emotional demon sisters desperately begged Leia repeatedly to postpone leaving Ashley Castle. Smiling proudly, Merida explained protecting her husband's household remained an important wife's responsibility. Meanwhile, Albert teased Merida gently while she complained emotionally about leaving beloved sisters behind. Patiently, Albert promised future family visits, encouraging Merida to endure separation from relatives. Before departing happily, Leia praised Albert and Merida warmly while entrusting her sister's happiness. Riding enthusiastically toward Favre's domain, Leia promised visiting Ashley Castle again. After Merida's child eventually arrived, several weeks later, Belieria family forces successfully blocked Arcana's rivers, creating widespread civilian anxiety everywhere. Meanwhile, Stefan's political influence secured Imperial protection, encouraging Arcana retainers abandoning Alexa loyalties. Inside Arcana Castle, frightened officials urgently requested reports regarding worsening territorial food shortages across surrounding settlements. During emergency meetings, commanders realized remaining food supplies would barely sustain Arcana forces several additional months. Blaming Lord Licht angrily, senior retainers admitted Imperial blockades completely disrupted their original invasion preparations. Inside Arcana Castle, commanders urgently ordered messages warning Prince Orgus about worsening battlefield conditions. Meanwhile, retainers feared Arcana's collapse would expose Tiana territory toward devastating Imperial invasions soon. Despite supply shortages, Arcana officials still believed Prince Orgus could eventually restore defensive transportation routes. During tense meetings, commanders ordered strict food conservation while desperately attempting preserving remaining military supplies. Questioned directly, Nicholas admitted conserving limited provisions alone would never save Arcana from collapse. Inside Arcana Castle, Nicholas revealed secret merchants successfully bypassed river blockades, delivering emergency food supplies. Meanwhile, commanders argued fiercely about depending entirely upon Donovan merchants while awaiting Tiana reinforcements. Exhausted completely, Nicholas begged Prince Orgus calmly while warning panic would destroy remaining military morale. Several months later, Ashley Castle administrators informed Albert about newly selected rabbit, folk servant recruitment candidates officially. Reviewing employment documents carefully, Albert learned the first recruitment batch included 30 household workers altogether. Ashley territory merchants submitted 3 employment requests, while Albert monitored growing commercial demand carefully throughout operations. Albert observed Ashley's thriving trade economy expanding steadily, while wealthy citizens increased market activity considerably recently. Luminous trained rabbit folk maids secretly, while developing intelligence networks disguised beneath ordinary housekeeping duties throughout Ashley territory. Albert instructed administrators, prioritizing intelligence, secrecy, whistleblower protection, and fair treatment toward newly recruited workers. During another meeting, administrators proposed hiring additional retainers because Ashley territory operations expanded rapidly recently. Lies informed Albert that another applicant arrived, requesting permission to participate within Ashley territory operations. The grateful applicant respectfully pledged loyalty toward Albert, offering dedicated service after receiving life-saving assistance. Albert questioned Miller carefully, remembering his executed father once protected remnants connected toward heroic factions. During Lisa's operation, Miller exposed corrupt officials while defending innocent villagers from reckless military schemes. Reviewing Miller's abilities, Albert acknowledged impressive leadership potential, despite limited defensive combat experience previously recorded. Although admiring Miller's talents greatly, Albert feared consequences surrounding his disgraced family history politically. Bound by Elwyn family loyalty, Albert ultimately refused employing traitors' relatives within official territorial positions. Feeling hopeless, Miller prepared leaving quietly until Albert explained another path toward redemption existed. Through loyal service beside Liz, Albert promised Miller future recognition from Elwyn family leadership. Surprised by their generosity, Miller accepted gratefully while Liz approved Albert's unexpected employment proposal. Overwhelmed with gratitude, Miller swore lifelong devotion toward Albert and lies for rescuing his future. Recognizing Miller's abilities, Lies assigned temporary command responsibilities, supervising military training throughout SLAT territory operations. Following Bafust operations, soldiers praised Miller's leadership abilities while accepting his official appointment. Confidently, Miller promised strengthening SLAT forces, while Lies protected him from potential criticism personally. Meanwhile, Albert and Lies discussed Miller's talents improving Demon Tribe military confidence considerably throughout territories. Soon, Albert received reports confirming successful embankment construction beside rivers, connecting important regional settlements. Recognizing outstanding achievements, Albert promoted Rainer officially, while granting territory rights supporting agricultural village expansion. Albert questioned remaining construction funds, while villagers explained Elwyn's support covered every necessary operational expense. Surprised greatly, Albert learned unused budgets remained because workers avoided corruption throughout rebuilding operations. Meanwhile, Demon Tribe laborers efficiently reduced project expenses, while assisting reconstruction efforts across villages. Additionally, Imperial prisoners worked freely beside villagers, creating another major source reducing overall construction costs. Pleased, Albert approved villagers' request, while receiving mysterious stones presented during their meeting. Raymore presented Albert mysterious silver ore discovered within unexplored mining areas around Arcana territory. Unfortunately, Ashley territory lacked skilled prospectors, causing excavation projects to progress slowly throughout operations. Albert suggested hiring independent eccentric miners because noble families controlled professional prospectors within territories. Excited immediately, Raymore admitted talented miners frequently abandoned employers despite possessing excavation abilities. Curiously, Albert questioned expensive contract fees before Raymore explained miners preferred digging work exclusively. Raymore explained unemployed miners demanded strict safety measures because previous employers constantly mistreated them badly. Albert planned constructing mountain roads connecting SLAT territory with Goshudo settlement, using miners. Trusting Raymore completely, Albert arranged personal meetings before officially inviting eccentric miners toward Ashley territory. Several days later, Albert relaxed peacefully alone while preparing future projects inside Ashley territory. Meanwhile, Marida questioned Albert's strange invention while Rainer tested powerful weapons resembling enormous metal sticks. Demon warriors prepared carefully, while Albert introduced strange firearms against armored scarecrow targets. During testing, Rainer demonstrated complicated matchlock rifle procedures, while Albert explained revolutionary battlefield advantages. Marida criticized firearms heavily because reloading required tedious steps during dangerous combat situations. Additionally, demon warriors argued matchcord rifles failed completely during rainstorms and nighttime raids. Ignoring complaints calmly, Albert praised demon weaponry before Rainer successfully fired powerful matchlock rifles accurately. Albert proudly tested firearms, while demon warriors criticized excessive smoke, noise, and dangerous battlefield exposure. Merida mocked Albert's invention because slow projectiles allowed even inexperienced demon children effortless dodging. Ignoring warnings completely, Albert ordered Rainer approaching targets closely before demonstrating improved firearm accuracy. Disappointed greatly, Merida explained cavalry attacks easily overwhelmed soldiers, reloading inaccurate firearms during battles. Frustrated heavily, Albert increased firing distance, while Merida declared ordinary rocks caused greater battlefield damage. Preston challenged demon warriors directly, demanding firearm demonstrations against experienced fighters during battlefield simulations. Ignoring Albert's desperate warnings, Rainer fired matchlock rifles, while Preston charged fearlessly through smoke. Effortlessly, Preston sliced approaching bullets apart, proving demon warriors possessed overwhelming combat superiority. Naturally, laughing confidently, Preston declared firearms completely useless because enemies easily dodged projectiles during battles. Smiling proudly, Merida supported Preston's harsh criticism, while Albert displayed disappointed expressions silently publicly. Merida shocked Albert completely by effortlessly slicing bullets apart during dangerous firearm demonstration training exercises. Laughing confidently, Merida explained ordinary demon soldiers could easily perform identical combat techniques naturally. Soon demon retainers enthusiastically started brutal bullet-slicing competitions proving overwhelming physical abilities publicly. Later, Albert created coordinated rifle formations, though demon warriors still approached enemy shooters unharmed successfully. Finally, Preston admitted firearms entertained demon tribes temporarily, but remained unsuitable for actual battlefield combat. Accepting criticism calmly, Albert decided firearms suited peasant conscripts defending elevated fortified positions effectively. Meanwhile, Merida explained firearms required minimal training compared against swords or traditional bows. Additionally, Marida suggested attaching melee blades onto rifles, improving battlefield versatility against approaching enemies. Satisfied greatly, Albert immediately planned deploying improved firearms during Arcana Castle defensive operations strategically. Suddenly, Stefan received urgent reinforcement requests, while suspecting dangerous ambushes surrounding northern military movements ahead. Worried constantly, Lord Licht feared Arcana collapsing completely unless immediate military action succeeded soon. Meanwhile, Stefan warned suspicious rumors suggested House Elwyn secretly planned invading vulnerable Tiana territory aggressively. Furious intensely, Stefan suspected Albert already prepared schemes, manipulating surrounding nations against Arcana strategically beforehand. Determined stubbornly, Lord Licht insisted advancing continuously because Arcana's starving defenders eventually would surrender completely. Reluctantly, Stefan accepted combined Imperial forces marching together. Once rear territories became completely secured safely, Prince Stefan reluctantly accepted Lord Licht's desperate proposal, preparing Arcana's exhausted vanguard forces immediately. However, Stefan remained suspicious, fearing hidden Imperial traps surrounding Arcana's weakening defensive positions tonight. Desperate commanders requested messengers convince Prince Orgus, delaying reinforcements until Arcana's soldiers reorganized properly. Meanwhile, Stefan secretly prioritized preserving his royal ambitions alongside surviving Arcana's dangerous collapsing campaign. Albert discovered Arcana villagers received drastically reduced supplies because corrupt vassals seized remaining food, explaining nervously. Albert revealed selfish nobles abandoned local residents, while secretly hoarding confiscated provisions. Horrified immediately, Mr. Baridi realized influential locals intentionally sacrificed starving citizens, protecting themselves completely. Although injured previously, Mr. Baridi suppressed frustration while Albert apologized unsuccessfully regarding dangerous tensions. Finally, furious villagers rallied behind Mr. Baridi, demanding retaliation against exploitative local nobles immediately. Albert urgently ordered messengers calming furious villagers before Arcana's worsening food disputes triggered violence completely. Meanwhile, Albert quietly acknowledged Arcana's severe shortages while secretly manipulating tensions between desperate local vassals. Baridi noticed rival factions cooperating temporarily because Albert redistributed supplies fairly among struggling Arcana residents. Exhausted constantly, Lord Nicholas struggled maintaining fragile peace between conflicting Erlach supporters throughout Arcana territory. Finally, Albert suspended trading operations entirely while preparing intelligence networks supporting Arcana's dangerous future strategies. Albert secretly transferred trading assets carefully, preventing investigators tracing connections toward House Elwyn successfully. Confidently, Albert instructed trusted subordinates, delivering fabricated letters directly toward influential senior faction leaders. Meanwhile, Albert relaxed briefly beside Marida while patiently anticipating Lord Licht's desperate future decisions. 3 days later, suspicious commanders urgently summoned Lord Licht inside Arcana Castle regarding discovered evidence. Shocked immediately, Stefan realized investigators uncovered Albert's forged correspondence, secretly manipulating Arcana's fragile political situation. Enraged completely, Lord Licht executed treacherous officials publicly, while terrified commanders watched silently fearfully. Meanwhile, Albert calmly celebrated Lord Licht's outburst, knowing Nicholas would distrust surrounding vassals increasingly. Arcana's worsening shortages and executions gradually intensified resentment among struggling retainers, supporting Nicholas desperately. Later, Albert approached Baridi, peacefully requesting entrance while suspicious villagers recognized Donovan trading immediately. Consequently, local residents permitted Albert's group entering Nicholas's estate, amid escalating political unrest cautiously. Baridi dismissed concerned villagers politely before privately welcoming Albert and discussing Arcana's worsening shortages. Inside Baridi's residence, Albert questioned desperate food conditions while carefully observing exhausted local retainers silently. Baridi admitted Arcana's severe blockade prevented meaningful relief efforts, despite increasing starvation across territories recently. Hearing executions and unrest reports, Albert understood Arcana's leadership, gradually losing public trust everywhere rapidly. Calmly, Albert prepared suggesting dangerous solutions, hoping Baridi would support his hidden political objectives. Albert proposed alliances carefully, hoping Baridi accepted cooperation with House Elwyn during Arcana's instability. Despite hesitation, Baridi stubbornly rejected Albert's proposal, because loyalty toward Erlach remained unshaken completely. Calmly, Albert exposed Lord Licht's betrayals, while criticizing Arcana's collapsing leadership and cruel executions publicly. Furious, Emotionally, Buriti demanded Albert's identity after realizing hidden motives behind suspicious negotiations completely. Smiling confidently, Albert revealed himself proudly, while explaining Lord Licht remained Elwyn's actual political target. Elwyn representatives explained Stefan ignored warnings, despite Arcana civilians already suffering severe starvation from blockades. Determined firmly, Albert revealed merchants secretly delivered supplies because innocent Arcana citizens required immediate assistance. Buriti finally understood Elwyn's intentions after Albert presented imperial documents protecting Arcana territories and civilians. Rejecting cooperation stubbornly, Buriti defended Urlach loyalties while Albert demanded surrender, before unnecessary bloodshed continued. Silently departing, Albert warned Buriti that Elwyn armies would invade Arcana unless surrender happened soon. Albert pressured Nicholas carefully, reminding him Arcana's survival depended entirely upon local vassals maintaining cooperation. Traveling peacefully, Albert admitted his true objective involved personally meeting Nicholas during ongoing negotiations. Lies explained trusted vassals would suspect Nicholas betrayed Arcana once negotiations with enemies became publicly known. Several days later, Albert proudly acknowledged Stefan's reckless hostility, greatly assisted Elwyn's complicated manipulation strategies. Inside Arcana Castle, furious retainers realized local vassals mysteriously abandoned important emergency meetings without explanations. Arcana retainers discovered missing vassals abandoned responsibilities, while food shortages endangered starving civilians everywhere. Frustrated heavily, Orgus questioned absent reinforcements, while advisors explained vassals ignored castle summons repeatedly. Preparing contingencies carefully, Orgus requested House Warspan shelter survivors whenever Arcana territories collapsed completely. Meanwhile, Warspan nobles secretly refused Orgus asylum requests because political tensions already damaged relationships. Lord Licht distributed remaining castle food exclusively toward loyal villages, increasing admiration across Arcana. Licht secretly received alarming letters describing traitorous retainers supporting Stefan's attacks against Arcana territories. Reading carefully, Licht discovered senior retainers secretly cooperated with enemies while spreading dangerous misinformation everywhere. Enraged completely, Licht summoned suspicious retainers immediately and ordered brutal punishment against every identified traitor. Soon, another nervous senior vassal arrived requesting discussions regarding worsening food supply conditions privately. Without hesitation, Licht executed trembling vassals publicly after discovering their betrayal against Arcana's desperate leadership. Licht threatened disloyal retainers harshly, while anxiously awaiting reinforcements from House Warspan's approaching armies. Late during Emerald Month, mysterious intruders suddenly infiltrated Ashley Castle under Arcana's weakened nighttime security. Inside corridors, Lise effortlessly defeated hostile infiltrators before suspicious survivors attempted escaping through dangerous passageways. Captured intruders collapsed quickly after Lise's attacks, allowing Albert's forces immediate interrogation opportunities. Albert discovered imprisoned assassins included silent catfolk women refusing reveal employers behind infiltration missions. Albert ordered Luminous interrogate captured catfolk assassin using dangerous aphrodisiac oils during private questioning sessions. Overwhelmed, gradually, imprisoned catfolk woman admitted only Albert could satisfy her body's strange dependence completely. Eventually surrendering, mentally frightened assassin revealed Warspan family, secretly hired disguised merchant spies throughout Arcana. Despite hearing confessions carefully, Albert refused immediate trust because interrogated information lacked convincing evidence entirely. Luminous promised assistance compassionately, encouraging vulnerable assassin proving loyalty before receiving freedom and continued treatment. Albert convinced captured assassin dismantling enemy organizations carefully would eventually grant her desired freedom completely. Latter, Lies reported numerous spies captured recently, while Albert prepared stronger countermeasures protecting Arcana territories. News about Alexa Kingdom's bounty forced Albert to strengthen protection around his growing operations immediately. Bereed warned that Albert's Demon Tamer nickname attracted increasing hostility from dangerous enemies across territories. Cheering soldiers praised Albert's unmatched leadership, while Demon Tribe warriors proudly admired his battlefield achievements. Embarrassed by ridiculous heroic titles, Albert laughed nervously while listening to exaggerated praises from companions. Secret disguises were distributed among trusted spies, preparing covert missions against enemies, targeting Albert constantly. Disguised body doubles were prepared carefully, helping Albert avoid growing assassination threats across Arcana territory. Meanwhile, Luminous revealed Lord Licht executed colluding retainers, spreading fear and distrust inside Arcana Castle. Using Stefan's reckless schemes, cooperating retainers secretly planned opening Arcana Castle gates for Albert's forces. During investigations, Barid discovered several House Urlocked retainers maintained suspicious contact with important Arcana nobles. Satisfied with preparations, Demon Tribe warriors awaited orders eliminating traitors immediately following completed infiltration missions. Albert accepted becoming Arcana's villain, believing future peace justified his ruthless actions and sacrifices. Several months later, Nicholas awaited Albert's arrival inside the struggling local retainer village headquarters patiently. Barid explained Lord Lick's paranoia worsened starvation while retainers constantly fought each other throughout Arcana territory. Determined to restore stability, Albert insisted only Nicholas possessed influence, capable of calming terrified citizens. Facing desperate circumstances, Nicholas hesitated, while Albert begged cooperation, preventing Arcana territory's complete destruction and collapse. Albert explained Arcana territory would face invasion unless Nicholas cooperated with House Elwyn immediately. Nicholas listened silently while Albert promised protecting his loyalty and reputation during Arcana's inevitable occupation period. Desperate to save Arcana citizens, Nicholas struggled emotionally before finally considering Albert's dangerous proposal seriously today. Accepting Albert's conditions, Nicholas agreed supporting House Elwyn for Arcana territory's future survival and stability. Detailed invasion maps impressed local retainers, though many feared consequences following Arcana territory's eventual occupation later. Gathered retainers examined Elwyn's detailed Arcana maps, realizing Albert prepared invasion plans carefully beforehand. Calmly addressing everyone present, Albert explained arrangements surrounding Arcana territory's upcoming, staged military conflict operations. Beginning next month, combined Elwyn and Alco peasant armies planned invading Arcana territory together strategically. Villagers would resist symbolically before surrendering peacefully once Elwyn forces raised predetermined red warning flags. Captured village leaders guaranteed food deliveries, ensuring Arcana citizens survived, despite ongoing territorial occupation campaigns. Albert ordered Ashley territory forces remaining hidden until Arcana operations finished successfully without interference completely. Concerned retainers questioned whether Arcana citizens would continue receiving food supplies following eventual surrender negotiations. Smiling confidently, Albert promised advancing Elwyn armies would avoid unnecessary casualties while securing important personnel safely. Nicholas warned senior vassals controlled strategic Arcana locations, making resistance against Demon Tribe forces extremely dangerous. Studying Arcana maps carefully, Albert planned deploying Demon Tribe warriors beside castle routes, attracting immediate attention. Excited retainers praised Albert's strategy, believing Lord Lick's panic would weaken Arcana castle defenses. Significantly, confident discussions continued while retainers predicted starving Arcana forces eventually surrendering without prolonged resistance battles. Cheering villagers celebrated Albert successfully convincing Nicholas and other important Locke retainers supporting Elwyn secretly. Meanwhile, Albert instructed village leaders maintaining constant communication whenever shortages threatened Arcana citizens during invasion. Nicholas agreed staging resistance carefully before surrendering publicly, preventing Lord Licht from suspecting hidden alliances early. Arcana territory negotiations concluded successfully, allowing Albert's invasion preparations advancing smoothly without unexpected complications. Returning home exhausted, Albert encountered Lady Marita angrily demanding permission, joining upcoming military operations immediately. Luminous complained Alicia refused remaining safely behind despite nearing childbirth during Arcana territory's dangerous invasion campaign. Smiling playfully, Albert teased unborn children probably disliking noisy battlefields and dangerous military conflicts already. Blushing furiously, Alicia stubbornly insisted childbirth would never prevent her supporting Albert during future battles. Albert firmly refused, allowing Alicia participate directly during dangerous battles, threatening Arcana territory's unstable future situation. Frustrated heavily, Alicia complained endlessly because Albert continued rejecting her long-awaited battlefield participation requests repeatedly. Suddenly, Albert threatened informing Lady Lala regarding Alicia's reckless behavior and irresponsible battlefield ambitions. Embarrassed, Alicia admitted childbirth prevented fighting while Albert comforted their unborn child lovingly. Hearing Albert's reassurance carefully, Alicia worried Demon Tribe soldiers might eventually approach their peaceful family home. Merida proudly explained her noble Shug-Mori lineage while discussing future responsibilities for their unborn child. Meanwhile, Albert hoped their child matured peacefully, unlike Merida's aggressive martial arts upbringing experiences. Remembering childhood training harshly, Merida defended battlefield education traditions, despite Albert strongly opposing dangerous methods completely. Smiling calmly, Albert avoided further arguments because Merida's stubborn personality already exhausted their peaceful discussion. Furious suddenly, Merida demanded authority over parenting decisions before affectionately requesting Albert carry her upstairs. Berta carefully prepared Merida's room while Albert praised everyone supporting her peaceful pregnancy during difficult months. Suddenly, Merida realized childbirth started earlier than expected, causing Albert immediate confusion and serious concern everywhere. Terrified greatly, Albert finally witnessed Merida's painful contractions, while Berta nervously watched beside them. Reacting quickly, Albert ordered Berta finding the midwife, while Merida screamed painfully across their bedroom repeatedly. Holding Merida's trembling hands tightly, Albert encouraged her calmly until the midwife finally arrived. Outside nervously, Albert panicked constantly, while Merida endured exhausting labor throughout several painful hours inside. Reassuring Albert gently, Merida's relatives explained childbirth difficulties while encouraging patience during stressful waiting periods. Despite comforting words nearby, Albert feared Merida suffered terribly because her delicate personality worried him. Suddenly, everyone announced Merida successfully delivered safely, while Albert celebrated emotionally beside relieved family members. Carefully holding newborn son proudly, Albert promised protecting Merida's child faithfully throughout his entire future life. Relieved greatly, Albert visited recovering Merida while she compared childbirth pain against brutal battlefield experiences previously. Laughing softly, Merida blamed Albert's noisy panic outside, while appreciating his sincere concern for their safety. Proudly smiling nearby, Merida praised their newborn son, while Albert happily accepted her affectionate compliments warmly. Carefully holding infant son, Albert proudly introduced Aureus von Elwyn as their child's official noble name. Unexpectedly arriving later, Alexis loudly mocked Aureus's heroic name while joking Albert copied famous war legends. Gently comforting Merida, Albert promised everyone would protect newborn Aureus while she recovered peacefully. Resting happily, Merida appreciated Albert's kindness, while Aureus received affection from their trusted companions. Meanwhile, Albert reflected proudly upon becoming Aureus's father during Arcana Territory's increasingly unstable political situation recently. Far away, Lord Licht angrily received desperate requests, demanding immediate reinforcements for struggling Arcana Territory forces. Suddenly, another report revealed Lord Zazin ignored Arcana completely, causing Lord Licht furious frustration and panic. Furious over betrayal, Albert discovered Zazin's unauthorized attack disrupted Corsus leadership and military stability. Determined to restore control, he ordered immediate preparations for marching directly toward Arcana Territory. Meanwhile, Corsus officials hurried organizing troops, provisions, and strategies before conflict rapidly intensified further. Confidently accepting responsibility, the young ruler prepared personally leading commanders struggling preserve national unity completely. Facing possible punishment, Albert still seized army command, preventing Arcana exploiting Corsus' internal disorder successfully. Anxiously reconsidering everything, Albert feared impulsive decisions would permanently destroy Corsus' military discipline completely. Consumed by rage overnight, he violently trained alone, blaming hidden conspirators, manipulating recent dangerous conflicts. Before sunrise, 40,000 soldiers advanced from Tiana, while rumors spread throughout Corsus' noble territories. Days later, Albert reached Zazin's riverside encampment, immediately questioning his reckless unauthorized military movements directly. Furiously confronting Zazin, Albert accused him causing Tiana's abandonment and threatening Corsus' stability through ambition. Calmly enduring threats, Zazan explained Stefan discovered troop movements, forcing sudden strategic adjustments throughout campaigns. Across the river, soldiers prepared securing supply routes while protecting Corsus camps from unexpected enemy attacks. Prince Orgus discussed Arcana's fortress defenses carefully, hoping prolonged warfare eventually exhausted Urlach family resistance entirely. Although opportunities appeared favorable, Albert worried abandoning Tiana permanently would damage Corsus' political influence severely. Finally accepting Zazin's dangerous proposal, Albert warned failure would cost lives and destroy remaining military trust. Successfully crossing Zazu River, Zazin's landing party awaited supplies arriving safely toward their temporary encampment. Suddenly, massive fires erupted beside construction sites, destroying boats and throwing soldiers into complete panic immediately. Hearing chaotic reports, Prince Orgus angrily demanded explanations, while protecting critical river operations from collapsing entirely. Elsewhere, hidden attackers ambushed supply routes, preventing provisions reaching Albert's exhausted frontline forces successfully. Following repeated mysterious incidents, Orgus finally completed preparations before launching long-awaited military advances toward Arcana. During Pearl's 6th month, Merida struggled calming baby Arius crying endlessly throughout the imperial residence. Worried about hunger, Merida requested Berta's assistance, while anxiously questioning her ability raising Arius properly. Thankfully, Berta comforted Arius gently, convincing Merida the child would grow healthy and exceptionally powerful. Watching proudly nearby, Albert believed Arius inherited strong demon blood, capable surpassing ordinary human limitations someday. Smiling warmly, Albert anticipated Arius's future growth, while promising becoming stronger alongside his beloved son. While preparing for war, Merida revealed Liz would soon bear Albert another important child. Gently touching her stomach, Liz accepted responsibility, carrying Alco family's future heir safely through dangerous conflicts. Inspired by Arius, she admitted wanting Albert's child too, hoping strengthen their growing family together permanently. Sleeping peacefully, little Arius reminded everyone stronger families created greater happiness throughout imperial household life. Understanding her feelings completely, Albert agreed multiple siblings would bring warmth, stability, and lasting joy everywhere. Cheerfully supporting Liz, Merida encouraged her efforts while Albert prepared, leaving alongside approved concubines soon. Remembering suddenly, Merida asked Albert informing Demon King properly about Arius's successful birth recently before departure. While protecting the fortress, Merida excitedly planned, teaching Arius becoming stronger than his older siblings. Eventually, hearing dangerous ideas, Albert panicked immediately as Merida considered involving Demon King directly with Arius. Meanwhile, sleeping peacefully, Arius unknowingly attracted overwhelming affection, capable changing important relationships throughout imperial family circles. Concerned about safety, Albert warned Merida never inviting Demon King while he remained absent from home. Confidently explaining future plans, Albert promised personally introducing Arius after conquering Arcana's remaining territories completely. Agreeing thoughtfully, Merida admitted requesting immediate visits from Demon King might create unnecessary complications temporarily. Soon, Merida appointed Liz commanding Arcana invasion forces, demanding flawless victories throughout every captured territory. Accepting proudly, Liz vowed crushing Arcana entirely, while Albert received command over specialized assault operations. Assigning important responsibilities, Merida ordered Albert capturing Licht von Erlaucht beside Liz during upcoming invasions. Proudly wearing disguises, Albert promised using intelligence and deception ensuring Licht's unavoidable capture without resistance whatsoever. Preparing carefully beforehand, Albert created body doubles protecting himself, while continuing dangerous battlefield operations successfully everywhere. Examining disguises closely, Merida admitted identical appearances failed, copying Albert's unique scent and natural presence completely. Laughing confidently, Merida decided placing disguised doubles inside Albert's office during lengthy military campaigns ahead. Smiling teasingly, Merida claimed Albert possessed unusually sweet scents, noticeable even among trusted companions. Defending his strategy calmly, Albert explained female body doubles prevented enemies discovering suspicious differences during absences. Entrusting castle protection entirely, Merida promised safeguarding Arius while Albert prepared marching toward brutal battlefields soon. Inside Elwyn's command tent, Albert gathered commanders together before officially beginning urgent wartime strategy discussions immediately. Facing limited time carefully, Albert warned everyone Arcana's approaching harvest season demanded swift military victories without delay. Leading war preparations carefully, Albert created special assault forces alongside Preston and ambitious demon commanders. Following strategic routes, Elwyn troops advanced toward Zazu while coordinating movements beside allied kingdom armies successfully. Near Arcana's border, Preston constructed defensive checkpoints, blocking enemy reinforcements occupying important territories throughout Zazu. Strictly warning Preston, Albert demanded absolute defense discipline preventing single enemy soldiers crossing guarded positions alive. Laughing confidently, Preston promised slaughtering intruders while protecting checkpoints until Albert issued further commands. Leading war preparations carefully, Albert created special assault forces alongside Preston and ambitious demon commanders. Following strategic routes, Elwyn troops advanced toward Zazu while coordinating movements beside allied kingdom armies successfully. Near Arcana's border, Preston constructed defensive checkpoints blocking enemy reinforcements, occupying important territories throughout Zazu. Strictly warning Preston, Albert demanded absolute defense discipline preventing single enemy soldiers crossing guarded positions alive. Laughing confidently, Preston promised slaughtering intruders while protecting checkpoints until Albert issued further commands. Smiling confidently, Liz assured everyone Miller's coordination would prevent unexpected disasters during upcoming battles successfully. After civilians evacuated safely, demon forces prepared surrounding Arcana Castle and capturing Licht von Erlaucht immediately. Hearing final instructions carefully, Allied commanders organized troops before advancing toward Arcana territory together simultaneously. Raising fists enthusiastically, soldiers responded proudly while morale throughout Albert's invasion army increased dramatically before departure. Before campaigns continued, Albert welcomed Lord Albert Fran, whose experience greatly strengthened Elwyn military expedition preparations. Fran supported Elwyn forces greatly by supplying unused Ashley Castle provisions during expanding military campaigns successfully. Meanwhile, Melvis organized storage facilities efficiently transforming unwanted supplies into valuable wartime financial resources. Recognizing Fran's loyalty carefully, Albert officially appointed him supporting Elwyn armies throughout Arcana invasion operations. Albert, wearing a mask, explained that the upcoming campaign relied on deception. Approaching a wealthy merchant, Albert proposed a temporary alliance. He offered valuable rewards for success, while accepting penalties if his decisions caused problems. After considering the offer, the merchant agreed to cooperate and keep all reports confidential. Albert then reinforced the agreement by reminding him of the serious consequences of betrayal. With the deal secured, the merchant presented a transportation report. Albert reviewed the details as preparations began at the Elven River encampment. The operation progressed steadily. Merchants gathered supplies, transport teams organized their routes, and Albert's plan moved one step closer to launching the campaign. Albert reviewed the transportation preparations and learned that 100 wagons and 200 workers had been assembled. A logistics plan was presented showing repeated supply runs between the encampment and nearby settlements. The merchant accepted the responsibility with confidence. Having already received advance payment, he promised to handle the transportation of goods without issue. Albert admitted he would have preferred to use his own transport corps. An ally quickly pointed out that the demon tribe was unsuited for rear-line logistics work. Considering the future, Albert proposed creating a hybrid organization that would function as merchants in peace and a transport battalion during wartime. The merchant immediately approved the idea. Albert expanded his proposal by suggesting a transport unit that would operate as merchants during peacetime and serve the army during war. The merchant quickly recognized the opportunity. Albert explained that those who joined dangerous operations would earn additional rewards and bonuses. To ease concerns, Albert assured him that the organization would recruit capable civil officials rather than relying solely on military personnel. Albert outlined a system where promotions depended entirely on achievement. Given authority over civil appointments, he intended to reward talent and effort fairly. Impressed by the plan, the merchant promised to spread the word among his people. Albert expressed confidence that successful recruits could rise through the ranks of House Elwyn. With the logistics plan complete, Albert declared that all preparations were finished. Confident in the groundwork he had laid, he turned his attention toward the final stage of the campaign. Soon afterward, supply wagons crossed the Elven River using a temporary bridge. The sturdy crossing impressed the observers. Built with simple materials and practical methods, it was strong enough to support heavily loaded cargo wagons. Credit for the construction belonged to Albert's idea, while workers and peasant conscripts carried out the demanding labor needed to complete it. From the bridge, Albert assessed the situation ahead. An enemy camp blocked the road to the castle, but a diversion created by Allied forces had already thrown their ranks into confusion. Albert's deception succeeded, causing the enemy to mistake a diversion for the Empire's main assault. Alarm bells rang throughout the castle as frightened vassals rushed to organize a defense. Confusion weakened the enemy's response, leaving only a small portion of their usual fighting force available. Meanwhile, Albert's group advanced through Arcana territory without encountering patrols or resistance. A signal arrow streaked across the sky, confirming the advance unit had reached the next settlement. Albert then moved forward with the next phase of his plan. After receiving confirmation that the operation remained secure, Albert ordered a message to be sent to Miller and continued monitoring the advance. A mounted messenger departed immediately, carrying Albert's instructions to the unit commander. Meanwhile, soldiers moved toward a nearby hill, securing a better position for the next phase of the exercise. Under Miller's command, archers released volleys while infantry advanced in formation, carrying out the mock battle with discipline. The training exercise proceeded smoothly. Watching from a distance, Albert concluded that the simulated battle was strengthening his forces and proving Miller's leadership. Albert inspected the training equipment and noted the safety measures. Blunted swords, tipless spears, and harmless arrows reduced the risk of serious injuries. The exercise continued as local vassal troops fought, using modified weapons. Careful preparation allowed the battle to serve as realistic training. Before long, the outcome became clear. Albert watched as the opposing force was steadily overwhelmed by Elwyn's better, trained soldiers. With the day's objectives completed on schedule, Albert decided the group should rest in a nearby settlement for the night. Everything proceeded according to plan. Most enemy troops had withdrawn into Arcana Castle, leaving only forces that had already reached agreements with Albert. With the battle concluded, Albert turned his attention to the settlement and allowed Lies to handle the surrender process. The local vassal and his soldiers laid down their resistance. Lies accepted their surrender and guaranteed the villagers' safety. To maintain order, the settlement leader was taken into custody while the remaining prisoners were processed under supervision. Albert trusted Lise with the negotiations. Her calm approach helped reassure the captives and kept the transition peaceful. Once the settlement was secured, the merchant and his men prepared to move out. Their unit readied itself to follow Miller and continue the operation. After securing the settlement, workers unloaded supplies while prisoners were prepared for transport back to camp. Fresh goods were already being brought in. Franz supervised the operation closely. To maintain efficiency, he pushed the merchants to keep pace with the demanding schedule. Next, the transport network expanded. Fran divided the 100 wagons into smaller groups and established supply depots in captured settlements. The new system reduced delays on narrow roads and kept supplies moving smoothly between locations. Morale among the merchants remained high. As work continued, Lise distributed food to the exhausted workers. The meal provided a welcome break before the next stage of the campaign. Lise distributed supplies prepared by Merida, ensuring the villagers had enough food and resources to meet their immediate needs. The residents welcomed the aid with gratitude. Confidence in House Elwyn grew as the promised support finally reached the settlement. Albert then explained that the villagers only needed to assist transport units and help maintain local security in return. Hearing the proposal, the people readily agreed. Many blamed their hardships on the kingdom's leadership and chose to support House Elwyn instead. With the settlement secured and its loyalty gained, Albert prepared to move onward. The success encouraged him as the campaign advanced to the next destination. As the operation continued, Albert noted that everything was progressing according to plan and ordered the group to move to the next settlement. Lise finally understood the purpose behind the fake war. Winning the trust of Arcana's people had been more important than claiming territory by force. Albert believed the region would become essential to House Elwyn. Gaining the people's loyalty was the key to securing that future. Meanwhile, food was distributed to surrendered villagers and daily life gradually returned to normal in the occupied settlements. Not everyone remained behind. Senior vassals and other influential figures were taken prisoner and transported to the rear camp while refugees continued fleeing toward Arcana Castle. As the campaign advanced, Albert ordered the detention of anyone who refused to surrender. He wanted to prevent sabotage and secure the transport network. Settlements that pledged loyalty to House Elwyn were left unharmed. Responsibility for the conflict was directed toward the senior vassals hiding inside the castle. Approaching Arcana Castle, Albert remained focused on the military objective. Distinguishing allies from enemies was essential for the operation. Meanwhile, guards intercepted another messenger attempting to reach the castle and call for reinforcements. The captive was taken away for questioning. By repeatedly stopping messengers, Albert's forces continued isolating the castle from outside support. As more messengers were captured, Albert's allies joked about the growing number of prisoners. Even so, the interrogations continued without interruption. Meanwhile, Lord Licht remained barricaded inside Arcana Castle. Fear of House Elwyn's advance drove him to repeatedly request reinforcements. After questioning the captives, Albert's forces allowed selected messengers to continue south. They carried news that the kingdom had abandoned Licht. The message was carefully designed to weaken confidence in the kingdom's promises and discourage loyalty among the remaining vassals. With support unlikely to arrive in time, Albert encouraged further pleas for aid. Each unanswered request pushed Arcana Castle closer to isolation. Within 15 days, House Elwyn controlled most of Arcana territory. The campaign advanced steadily as enemy checkpoints were bypassed and isolated. Soon, the final collaborator on Albert's list surrendered. With that, organized resistance across the region nearly disappeared. Albert met Nicholas, whose cooperation had helped protect local villagers faced with overwhelming pressure. The remaining holdouts had little choice but to submit. Their discussion revealed that Albert had spent years cultivating trustworthy allies. Those efforts now paid off during the campaign. Pleased with the results, Albert credited Nicholas for the smooth conquest. Thanks to loyal supporters, the invasion achieved its objective without major incidents. Nicholas credited Albert, the invasion force, and the transport teams for the campaign's success. He viewed his own role as minor in comparison. Despite the victory, Nicholas remained humble and invited Albert into his mansion to continue their discussion away from the summer heat. Across the settlements, food and alcohol were distributed to the people. The celebrations helped strengthen bonds between villagers and Elwyn's forces. Albert reflected on the campaign with satisfaction. By winning support instead of relying on bloodshed, he had achieved exactly the outcome he wanted. As the gathering ended, Albert looked toward the final objective. Only the capture of Arcana Castle remained before the campaign could be considered complete. Nicholas observed that only the senior vassal's private forces remained inside Arcana Castle. Even then, he suspected Albert still had additional plans in reserve. Albert neither confirmed nor denied the claim. Instead, he encouraged Nicholas to rest while waiting for the castle's inevitable fall. Before departing, Albert promised that once Arcana Castle was secured, he would continue working for the people of Arcana. A leader announced a tax exemption for the entire Arcana territory after receiving approval from the ruling authority. The official explained that the exemption was granted because Arcana had become one of the region's most successful noble territories. Meanwhile, plans were prepared to increase revenue. Tax evasion had been eliminated, while remaining resources from the demon tribe were organized for future use. In addition, local products achieved strong sales and generated large profits for the territory. Finally, Arcana's growing influence attracted attention. Surrounded by mountains, the territory remained difficult to approach, making information from other nations highly valuable. Albert reviewed a map showing a silver vein and considered a proposal to develop a new mine. Confidence grew as the potential benefits became clear. A successful mining operation would provide resources for expansion and strengthen nearby settlements. Later, the officials celebrated the progress and shared a toast to Arcana's future prosperity. That night, Albert returned home after discussing long-term plans and reflecting on the territory's development. Meanwhile, a companion appeared in a maid outfit, creating an unexpected moment that ended the day on a lighter note. Lies showed the maid outfit she had wanted to wear and waited for Albert's reaction. After seeing it, he felt that it matched her appearance well. Their discussion shifted to Lisa's worries about her identity. Growing changes made her concerned that others might discover the truth she had been hiding. Thoughts of the future weighed on her mind as she reflected on her role and the inheritance she hoped to secure. Doubts remained about whether other claimants would accept her position once her secret became known. Albert reassured her through his actions, reminding her that the people respected her dedication. Sincerity. Lies felt embarrassed as Albert praised her efforts. Despite her achievements, she believed she was only doing what was necessary for the territory. The conversation became more personal as they spent time together. Gradually, her nervousness mixed with growing trust. Soon Albert helped her relax after a long day. The quiet moment allowed her to set aside her worries for a while. Thoughts of their companions briefly interrupted the mood, reminding Lies of the lively people around them. In the end, she looked at Albert with anticipation, curious about what he intended to do next as their bond continued to deepen. Lies admitted her feelings and revealed her desire to stay close to Albert. Hearing her words, he responded with confidence and eased her concerns. Soon, Albert began helping her relax after a long day. Trust between them grew as they spent more time together. Although nervous, Lise tried to remain calm. The unfamiliar situation left her overwhelmed, yet she continued to rely on Albert's support. Meanwhile, Albert reassured her that everything was fine and encouraged her not to worry. By the end of the night, embarrassment still lingered, but Lise felt secure, knowing she could openly show her emotions around him. Lise became overwhelmed as she spent a long and emotional night with Albert. Her feelings grew stronger, and she struggled to keep her composure. By morning, both of them were exhausted after staying together for hours. The peaceful night soon came to an end. Meanwhile, preparations for war continued. Soldiers advanced through the forest and moved into position around Arcana Castle. Soon after, commanders gathered at the Elwyn encampment to observe the situation and prepare their next actions. Looking over the battlefield, the enemy leaders noticed an unusual deployment and questioned the strategy being used against them. Scouts reported that Zazan's forces were advancing while Elwyn troops held a higher position. Enemy commanders studied the situation and questioned the strategy. Despite their doubts, they believed another army should have already begun its attack. Meanwhile, some officers argued that the opposing commander lacked military skill, while others suspected a hidden purpose behind the deployment. A closer examination revealed that the troop movement appeared to be a distraction. Frustration spread through the ranks as leaders demanded action against the forces stationed near the mountain. The commander rejected all objections and insisted that his orders would not change. Confident in his judgment, he dismissed anyone who questioned the plan. Meanwhile, concerns continued to grow among the officers. Despite the tension, they were forced to follow the commander's decision. Elwyn banners had appeared in front of the castle, suggesting that Albert's forces had completed their encirclement. Realizing the situation had changed, several leaders decided to move and unite with Albert's army before it was too late. At last, preparations for a counterattack began as troops assembled, drums sounded, and the march toward battle commenced. Confident in his plan, the enemy commander ordered an immediate attack against Alexa's army at the foot of the mountain. The cavalry charge gained momentum, as the commander led from the front, expecting a decisive victory over the opposing troops. Suddenly, Elwyn's soldiers appeared on the battlefield and disrupted the attack. Their unexpected arrival shocked the defenders. Preston von Elwyn pushed deeper into the enemy ranks, challenging anyone brave enough to stand against him. Panic spread through the battlefield as soldiers realized their supplies were cut off. Faced with mounting losses, many began searching for a way to escape. Seeing the enemy retreat, a commander ordered his troops to surround the fleeing soldiers and prevent anyone from escaping. The pursuit succeeded, as the retreating forces were driven into a single area. Their options for escape quickly disappeared. Meanwhile, Preston took advantage of the situation and charged into the trapped enemies. His overwhelming attack left little room for resistance. Panic spread among the remaining soldiers. After suffering heavy losses, they abandoned the fight and begged for mercy. The battle ended decisively as the last resistance collapsed, leaving the defeated army completely at the mercy of its victors. A victorious commander refused to accept surrender and ordered the remaining enemy soldiers to continue fighting if they wished to survive. Without hesitation, he charged through the battlefield and struck down anyone who resisted. The pursuit continued, despite the enemy's desperate attempts to flee. Meanwhile, his son tried to stop the unnecessary slaughter and urged the soldiers to withdraw. Frustration grew as the son accused his father of leaving the burden to others while claiming all the glory. Laughing off the criticism, the commander insisted that orders must be followed and continued leading the assault. A commander noticed a boat carrying the enemy leader away from the battlefield. Although the escape drew attention, the remaining enemy forces were still trapped. Rather than pursue the fleeing commander, the Allied leaders focused on completing their mission and defeating the soldiers left behind. Cavalry and infantry pushed forward together, overwhelming the scattered enemies and securing control of the battlefield. Marta led relentless demon warriors against fleeing enemy soldiers, refusing surrender while crushing resistance and forcing frightened defenders backward. Across the river, escaping troops struggled through heavy armor before Merida ordered another advance, driving terrified survivors backward together. Following the victory, Allied warriors celebrated destroying the enemy vanguard while regrouping with Burke, confirming their commander escaped alive. Merida instructed her soldiers to display captured enemies around Arcana Castle, strengthening morale while demonstrating consequences awaiting future resistance. Meanwhile, Orga's commanders panicked after receiving devastating reports, realizing Stefan's army could trap them, while demon forces advanced unchecked. Orga's commanders argued over their disastrous defeat until Lord Zazan returned, furious that nobody accepted responsibility for the failed campaign. Without hesitation, Zazan condemned the army's disastrous performance, demanding explanations after their humiliating retreat across the river under pressure. The defeated commander admitted full responsibility, accepting harsh criticism after losing valuable soldiers during the failed battle against Merida's forces. Another officer attempted suicide from overwhelming guilt, but Lord Zazan stopped him before loyal subordinates pleaded for mercy and restraint. Senior officers persuaded Lord Zazan to spare the commander, insisting the war remained unfinished despite severe losses and collapsing morale. Prince Orgus struggled with defeat, as Corsi's nobles begged mercy for Lord Zazan, fearing greater chaos if their leader perished. Overcome by rage, Prince Orgus slashed wildly before sparing Lord Zazan, after Corsi's nobles pleaded for another chance to recover. Lord Zazan collapsed from exhaustion while Prince Orgus confined another officer, allowing grateful subordinates to rush their weakened commander toward healers. Standing alone, Prince Orgus declared every remaining subordinate useless before demanding complete obedience, despite growing frustration throughout the battered military camp. Prince Orgus organized scouts to monitor Stefan's movements, hoping fresh intelligence could prevent Elwyn's forces from becoming surrounded again. Merida observed Zazan's divided army with satisfaction, realizing Elwyn's demon forces controlled the battlefield while enemy commanders reacted helplessly. Prince Orgus worried the crushing defeat would destroy his ambitions, fearing his younger brother might seize the imperial throne instead. Searching for hope, Prince Orgus desperately sought a capable strategist who could finally overcome Elwyn's powerful demon army and restore victory. Meanwhile, Albert reached the front line as Merida celebrated another easy triumph, expecting their next target to become the enemy fortress. Burke boasted about his overwhelming strength, eagerly awaiting another battle while wondering whether smashing castle gates would finally challenge him. Albert ordered every demon soldier to assemble before the camp, insisting they demand surrender before launching the final assault together. Merida and Burke preferred immediate slaughter, but Albert rejected unnecessary bloodshed and insisted everyone obey his battlefield strategy. Albert warned stubborn allies that anyone refusing orders could abandon the campaign and return home beside ordinary peasant recruits instead. Following Albert's instructions, demon troops reached Arcana Castle, while peasant soldiers withdrew, leaving professional warriors prepared for the decisive battle. Approaching Arcana Castle, demon soldiers displayed enemy heads across their belts, terrifying exhausted defenders and weakening resistance before the siege even began. Albert admitted the gruesome display looked excessive, yet believed terrifying enemies protected innocent children, living safely near Arceus from future danger. Merida accepted Albert's plan reluctantly, deciding overwhelming intimidation could force frightened defenders into surrender before another bloody confrontation erupted. Burke welcomed the strategy with excitement, while Albert ordered everyone back into formation unless they preferred useless punishment instead. Standing before Arcana Castle, Albert announced the fortress was completely surrounded, urging House Elwyn's defenders to surrender without further bloodshed. Albert reminded trapped soldiers that Lord Licht could not rescue them, encouraging immediate surrender before the demon army launched its assault. Arcana Castle's defenders rejected Albert's surrender offer, convinced the demon army planned to massacre everyone after capturing the fortress anyway. Albert admitted surrender never mattered, revealing the proposal tested experimental weapons while evaluating Preston's preparations before attacking the castle. Burke learned Albert had recruited peasant soldiers to strengthen ordinary troops, giving inexperienced recruits valuable combat experience during the campaign. Albert ordered his companions to burn enemy corpses, clean themselves, and prepare while the siege around Arcana Castle continued. After completing their duties, Merida and Burke accepted a brief rest, deciding fresh battles could wait until everyone regained proper condition. Albert ordered everyone to wash before drinking, warning the celebration must remain disciplined, despite enemy scouts watching every movement. After cleaning themselves, Merida and Burke removed gruesome trophies, washing away sweat before enjoying their long-awaited celebration beside the camp. Meanwhile, Albert received reports that the Rifle Infantry Training Unit had assembled. While peasant soldiers completed their exhausting backpack exercises, Albert instructed the rifle unit to maintain proper combat distance, treating every battlefield movement as practical training against approaching enemy forces. Albert introduced his 30-member rifle training unit, selecting loyal soldiers from different races to develop advanced flintlock weapon tactics. Albert formed a disciplined rifle unit from unmarried volunteers, enforcing strict secrecy to protect valuable military knowledge from enemy spies. Albert introduced improved flintlock rifles, ordering careful target practice while planning future mass production after every soldier mastered accurate shooting. Arcana Castle's defenders mocked the unusual drill until powerful rifle blasts struck unexpectedly, leaving frightened soldiers scrambling across the walls. Albert ordered Miller to continue firing every prototype, measuring each weapon's accuracy, power, and reliability throughout the demanding field exercise. The rifle unit followed Albert's commands without hesitation, unleashing repeated volleys while testing every experimental firearm under realistic battlefield conditions. Inside Arcana Castle, frightened defenders questioned the mysterious weapons, urging archers to retaliate, despite growing panic and complete confusion. Meanwhile, Albert's rifle unit unleashed relentless volleys, forcing terrified defenders behind cover as thunderous blasts echoed across the fortress walls. During the celebration, Preston observed the bombardment with Burke, suggesting every slat warrior should eventually receive those experimental rifles for battle. Confident in close combat, Burke insisted disciplined warriors relying upon physical strength remained stronger than distant gunfire during fierce engagements. Albert explained the rifles remained unfinished, yet successfully suppressed enemy archers and protected advancing demon soldiers throughout the siege. Burke questioned Albert's cautious siege, believing crushing Arcana Castle's gates would end the battle much faster than waiting patiently. Albert explained his strategy focused on strengthening future allies under Nicholas, preserving capable soldiers instead of sacrificing them unnecessarily. Listening carefully, Burke realized the matchlock rifle offered weaker troops effective firepower, while supporting large formations against enemy forces. Merida praised Albert's strategy after witnessing the rifle's overwhelmed defenders, proving House Elwyn's military strength would improve dramatically through innovation. Preston observed exhausted defenders facing empty food supplies, recognizing mysterious rifle attacks and isolation steadily destroyed their remaining determination. Hearing Preston's assessment, Albert expanded the celebration, believing the exhausted defenders suffered severe psychological pressure from the relentless siege outside. Inside the fortress, an enraged commander shouted desperate threats, while Burke recognized him as the opposing leader losing control over his troops. Refusing to surrender, the furious commander claimed Imperial reinforcements would soon arrive, insisting Elwyn's demon army would face complete destruction instead. Watching the fortress, Burke laughed at the empty threats before inventing another reckless game to entertain the waiting demon warriors. Preston bellowed for a spear-throwing contest as the enemy commander Licht appeared atop the castle wall, and the old demon general hurled his weapon with a battle roar. The spear clattered short of its mark. Preston grumbled about the miss while Albert noted he'd actually thrown it close, and Merida stepped up, promising to show him how it was done. Merida's throw rattled the parapet, narrowly missing Licht, who flinched back in surprise. Albert asked what Merida thought of her shot, and the enemy commander ducked for cover as debris rained down around him. Preston joked that matchlock guns might have worked better than spears, though he admitted only the demon tribe had the strength to throw that far. Albert agreed to keep the idea in mind. The demons demanded one last drink before battle, while Albert clapped his hands and called for everyone to get ready, declaring playtime over. Barrels of drink were emptied and signal whistle arrows readied. Preston praised the wine for quenching his thirst as the arrows shot skyward, bursting in bright signal flares above the castle. A soldier acknowledged the whistling arrows were as loud as gunfire, ensuring no one could claim they missed the signal. Shouting erupted from behind the gates. Albert confirmed the betrayal inside the castle had begun. The demons excitedly asked if they could finally cut loose, and Albert ordered them to smash the gates and capture the commander so the archers above wouldn't be a threat. Albert commanded all units to charge, declaring that anyone still holed up inside was now useless to the Elwyn family. Preston called for the battering ram, warning that no more defectors would be allowed through, as soldiers braced and roared before the charge. The ram shattered the gate. Albert marveled that even without inside help, the demons broke through the iron-reinforced doors with ease. Miller thanked his lords for their protection and confidently took command, promising the SLAT troops would escort them. Praise for Miller's leadership was cut short as guards revealed their true colors, one shouting his allegiance to House Elwyn before striking down a comrade. Panicked soldiers realized Licht had deceived them. Merida cut one down, unmoved by their pleas. Albert remarked the demons hadn't even needed the defectors, since they'd smashed the gate themselves. The Elwyn side finished off the wavering traitors, noting they'd shown no real resolve either way. Albert coldly confirmed they'd never intended to spare them, as the doomed soldiers cursed the Elwyn family's trickery. Merida tore through the defense, securing the entrance while orders rang out to capture Licht alive. Licht retreated deep into the castle as a runner arrived to report his location. The drawbridge slammed shut, trapping Albert's advance. Preston mentioned climbing the slope instead, but a soldier arrived hauling something enormous at his lord's request. Preston hefted a massive bow built to fire ballista bolts, launching it straight into the drawbridge chain and snapping it loose with brute force. Albert marveled that only the demon tribe could manage such a feat, while a nearby soldier questioned what she was even witnessing. A second bolt tore through the gate itself. Preston roared for the charge as the drawbridge crashed down under its own weight. The door creaked open to reveal a hulking knight, Christ, vowing to crush the Shugmori dogs waiting outside. Albert ordered the enemy captured alive, identifying him as Licht von Erlach's man. Merida eagerly volunteered to handle him herself. Merida was thrown back by the knight's strength. Preston scolded her for ignoring her footing, then ordered everyone else to stand clear. Impressed by the enemy's raw power, Preston charged in personally, declaring he'd finish the fight and deliver Christ's head back to Alexa. The two clashed in a flurry of blows, Preston's speed overwhelming the heavier knight, despite his monstrous strength. Preston's strikes shattered the knight's guard, driving him back with each crushing hit. Christ's armor crumbled under the assault, leaving him twitching on the ground. Albert hesitated, but Preston assured him the man was still alive. Licht recoiled at the sight, cursing under his breath, while Albert brushed off his glare and Merida joked that bearfolk really did resemble bears. Licht demanded another round, warning that House Warspan wouldn't stay quiet if anything happened to him, insisting the Elwyns hadn't truly won. Preston and Merida bickered until Albert cut them off, threatening to bar them from future battles, as Licht mocked Albert's age and mask. Licht was stunned to learn Albert was the Elwyn family's famed strategist, favored by the Demon King himself, dismissing it as nonsense from a muscle-brained demon. Merida remarked that Licht clearly underestimated how dangerous Albert really was, while Preston accused him of merely copying Stefan's ideas. Albert admitted he was nowhere near Stefan's level, and Irina guessed isolated arcana simply lacked outside information. Licht was informed the Demon King himself wished to meet Albert for his service, and that he would be escorted to the capital, Dectorisis. Albert mused aloud about what fate awaited the man who had slandered and betrayed the Demon King, unsettling Licht at the mention of Christ. Albert joked that the Demon King acted like a tyrannical boss expecting results, promising there would be no mercy at all. As the defeated knight slumped in dread, Merida relaxed at home, admitting she liked having her doting, easygoing husband running things, joking that it gave her workplace a homely feel. A soldier rushed in announcing a messenger from the Demon King had arrived. Albert met the hooded envoy, who praised his excellent work and stated he'd come to take custody of Licht. Having heard Arcana Castle was close to falling, the envoy brushed off the praise, saying he simply happened to be nearby. While Albert thanked him for such a fast response, Merida explained that the Demon King himself was already waiting at Ashley Castle for her husband's return, escorted there by his own personal guard. The envoy confirmed the invitation had come from Lady Merida, sending Albert into a panic at the news that the Demon King was at Ashley Castle, half asleep. Merida murmured that the king had called their son intelligent with a bright future ahead of him. Albert spiraled into panic, imagining the Demon King charmed enough to try adopting Arius for himself, terrified of what he might do. Albert ordered everyone to leave at once, insisting they had to return to the castle immediately. Merida protested that Arcana Castle still needed cleanup work before they could go, and Preston questioned the sudden panic. Arena warned that leaving now would make it look like they'd abandoned the job unfinished in the Demon King's eyes. Albert admitted he'd lost his composure for a moment, apologizing and agreeing that the king surely wouldn't just take his child away like that. A masked knight from the Demon King's side confirms custody of Lord Licht is being transferred without issue. Albert accepts the arrangement, sends his regards to the Demon King, and states he still has matters to handle in the Arcana territory. Soldiers drag a captured man who shouts that he refuses to go anywhere near Christ. A larger bear-like man orders him to move. Guards wheel a caged prisoner forward, warning him to pray Emperor is in a good mood, since this punishment is the result of rumors he spread during the election. Albert greets his soldiers and declares the next phase, clearing out the castle, calling it one nuisance handled. The siege of Arcana Castle ends. House Elwyn suffers no deaths, while House Airlocked loses 88 men with no survivors. Surviving vassals loyal to the defeated house are sold to foreign slave traders, while those loyal to House Elwyn are kept to repopulate the land. Albert plans to appoint Nicholas as Chief Magistrate of Arcana, a cat-eared subordinate reports, finding a hidden escape route leading out of the castle. Investigation reveals 2 tunnels, both exiting on the Empire's side, one near the Elfin River, and one close to the East Highway. The subordinate suggests destroying the tunnels, but Albert realizes bandits on the highway had been using this very route. Albert orders the highway tunnel sealed, while the one leading to the Elfin River is left intact for future use. In battle, Lord Preston and his men wipe out the kingdom's vanguard and castle garrison entirely. A noble grows irritated, worrying that without military achievements, Orgus's succession will become impossible, and wonders if he could be lured out. Albert notes that if Orgus dies now, the throne would fall to him regardless, especially with King Alexa in critical condition. Albert advises that Alexa take refuge with his trusted subordinate Lord Bald, while Lord Goran is told to withdraw from the capital as a precaution. The kingdom splits into the Goran faction and Orgus faction, with Albert determined to prevent unification under Orgus. Orders go out to the Alexa unit, with everyone agreeing Lord Goran's safety remains essential. Recognizing the bait meant for Orgus, Albert arranges thanks to Lord Stefan for stalling enemy forces. The plan unfolds, deceiving Orgus's weak network by staging a fake invasion and pulling troops back. A skilled archer is requested, and troops are planted within the Imperial army to incite conflict. Villagers, trusting Albert's past strategies, accept his new instructions as they move through the liberated territory. By the month of Ruby, preparations for the next phase were complete, while food deliveries and repairs to Arcana Castle continued without pause. At the Alexa Kingdom's forward base, soldiers report that House Bavliria has withdrawn troops from the border, and House Elwyn has abandoned its checkpoint as well. Prince Orgus grins at the news. Reports spread that both House Bavliria and House Elwyn have requested military intervention, while spies confirm the Gontroon allied forces have deployed troops on the Empire's eastern border. Orgus notes that the tide seems to favor him, and his scouts confirm the castle has truly been abandoned. Confident, Orgus declares he will personally lead the charge, vowing to reclaim the entire Arcana region in one sweep, ordering preparations to cross the Dolphin River at once. Days later near Arcana Castle, soldiers spot a fleeing group heading toward the fortress, and recognize the wanted man leading them as Albert von Elwyn himself. Orgus roars that whoever captures Albert alive will be gifted the entire Arcana territory for himself. Troops surge forward, ordered not to kill him. But the narrow path bottlenecks their advance as Albert slips into the castle ahead of them. Furious that Albert reached the castle, Orgus vows they will pay dearly and orders his men to surround the walls. Days earlier in Alexa's capital, Count Barth explains that Lord Albert advises Prince Goran leave the capital for his own safety. Barth warns that staying could sweep Goran into the chaos of succession, especially with the king's condition worsening rapidly. He adds that Goran's departure could unite existing supporters under his banner. Though Goran worries some allegiances might still shift, Goran questions whether this plan actually means splitting the country in two. Barth advises keeping farewells brief, certain the Orgus faction will soon send their own messengers, and orders a carriage prepared immediately. In Arcana Castle, Goran silently apologizes to his father for dividing the kingdom this way. Word arrives that the king has passed away, leaving Goran shaken as he grips the only path left to survive. Goran declares he will feign illness, leave the capital, and go see his father one last time, prompting Barth to confirm his decision. Albert panics, learning they now face 2,000 troops, having already sent the demon tribe and slat soldiers away. With only 10 men and Luminous, Albert despairs at the life-or-death crisis unfolding before them. Luminous, smiling, asks whether they should commence the operation, wanting half the surrounded men as prisoners. With torches lit and the signal given, Albert steps forward and declares himself openly, calling out that anyone wishing to take his head should step forward now. The gate bursts open and Orgus's soldiers charge after him, only for the ground beneath them to collapse into a hidden pitfall. Albert grins down at the trapped men, revealing the traps were crafted by the demon tribe, and warning that reaching him means surviving these first. More soldiers fall victim to hidden blades, oil and flame, as they scramble past the first pit, one man screaming as fire engulfs him. Albert mocks the enemy's naivety, explaining that his craftsmen of war chose careful observation over brute strength when building these defenses. Despite the losses, the soldiers press forward, taking more casualties from spears and hidden strikes as their advance turns increasingly bloody. Albert taunts the kingdom's army as worthless cowards, until an archer draws his bow and finally puts an arrow through him. Luminous cries out in shock as Albert collapses, both of them stunned that this could actually happen. The soldiers cheer that the enemy general has been slain. Unaware, Albert still breathes as Luminous carries him away in panic. Later, Albert calmly notes the plan worked exactly as intended, praising Warad's men, while Luminous points out the enemy is throwing everything they have. The two retreat safely through the secret passage as planned, regrouping at the Elwyn camp near the Elfin River. Merida rushes to embrace Albert, relieved he is safe after hearing the enemy launched a full assault on Arcana Castle. Albert asks where Arius is, and Merida explains she came herself as his bodyguard. She adds that Berta and Alicia are taking care of him back home. Merida praises Albert's daring gambit, calling it exactly what she'd expect from the demon tamer for risking his life to lure the enemy. She offers her personal guard unit to reinforce his forces, and Albert thanks her, ready to deliver the final blow of this battle. Merida explains the troops are thanks for handing over Licht, easing Albert's earlier worry about being short on numbers. Albert announces House Elwyn will now begin their counterattack against the enemy. Orders are given for all units to march through the night and reach Arcana Castle before dawn, with Slat forces and the King's Guards under Vice General Miller, and Lies von Alco leading the vanguard. Miller vows they will accomplish every goal without fail, honored to lead the charge before His Majesty, and calls Lies to move out together. Slat forces and the King's Guard move out, ordered to protect His Majesty while advancing alongside Lies and her troops, with Preston, Rather, and the rest of the Elwyn forces close behind. A demon-horned warrior declares he shall personally serve as the King's Guard, while Rather is placed in command of the troops. The old warrior asks if his words have finally sunk through, insisting Rather is better suited to leading soldiers, prompting Rather to complain that it isn't fair. Rather rallies the men forward, shouting "Long live King Christ," while the demon warrior smiles, saying he will be watching every bit of her performance as commander. The soldiers roar in unison, raising their spears, as they're warned not to embarrass themselves in front of His Majesty. The demon warrior promises no one will lay a finger on the king, while Preston smiles, saying he is counting on him to stay close by His Majesty's side. The old warrior jokes they never fight on the same battlefield anymore, not since Rather took the commander's seat, and Merida notes it has been a while since Preston guarded her personally. Maridi admits she hasn't had much chance to fight lately, joking that she has grown a little thicker in places, and says she wants to fight in front of her big brother too. Albert insists she should focus on protecting herself instead, and though Marida protests, he reminds her they will still be guarding His Majesty regardless. With that, the second campaign to conquer Arcana territory begins, as Merida pouts, calling her brother mean for holding her back. Elwyn's allied forces hold their positions before the towering walls of Arcana Castle as commanders order every soldier into formation without delay. A map reveals Arcana Castle trapped between the Orgus army and the Kingdom of Alexa, its mountain bridge destroyed, leaving the enemy isolated and desperate. Lies von Alco raises his fist before the assembled troops, having surrounded the castle using hastily gathered soldiers without losing a single life. Watching from behind, the pale-haired sovereign smiles at the encirclement, praising Lise von Alco as a valuable, unexpected acquisition for the army. She instructs Lise to govern both House Alco and House Elwyn well, and he accepts the responsibility while she stands beside him in silence. Lise bows before her, vowing to take full responsibility for both houses in service of His Majesty, and the surrounding soldiers answer in unison. A territorial map shows House Alco restored to trust after once betraying the Demon King, now standing beside House Elwyn as a key barrier. Lise calculates that the trapped defenders carry supplies for only 1 or 2 days, since their mountain supply route was burned earlier. Inside the castle, soldiers search the storeroom and find it completely empty, confirming that nothing remains for the starving garrison to eat. Surrounded by 1,200 troops with no food, arrows, or coal, the sovereign grins and predicts the enemy army will soon turn pale. Lise bows again in gratitude for her praise, while she laughs and calls him a man who enjoys watching others sink into despair. Arcana Castle stands fortified against a coming attack, and Lise notes that his preparations to counter the enemy are already complete. Roughly 500 enemy soldiers charge across the bridge in a desperate sortie, and Lise remarks that they have nothing left to lose. Officers scream for their lines to advance and push the attackers back toward the castle, as chaos spreads across the battlefield's front lines. Orange Demon Warrior grins fiercely and shouts that she can finally cut loose, eager to prove the raw strength of her tribe. She charges alone into the enemy ranks while Lise urges her to command the troops properly instead of rampaging without any order. Lise directs his escort unit to target the archers guarding the castle gate, and their arrows strike down the defenders one after another. A massive horned warrior mutters that he could take a shot himself, worried that a rival named Albert will steal all the glory. He roars and hurls his weapon forward, impaling several soldiers at once before laughing at his own reckless yet effective assault. The sovereign claps and laughs with delight, declaring that watching the demon tribe fight so fiercely fills her with pure exhilaration again. Lise mutters that he needs everything to end without incident, relieved that His Majesty the Demon King seems to be in fine spirits, though he struggles to contain his reaction. Merida von Elwyn declares she will head into battle alongside her brother Albert, insisting she knows her own condition and refuses to be stopped. She grins and promises to fight only enough before returning, reasoning that young Arius cannot be allowed to grow up without a mother present. Albert begs His Majesty to allow Lady Merida into the fray, and Lise sighs while admitting he only means for her to fight briefly. The Demon King orders Merida to show the Empire's strongest warrior and crush the enemy's will, commanding her to bring back their heads. Merida von Elwyn smirks in agreement, then lunges forward with her massive blade raised as the battle against the enemy forces finally begins. Lise directs archers to support Lady Merida, while ordering other soldiers to use their spears against any enemy who slips past the front lines. Merida cuts through the enemy ranks with ease, calling it no real challenge as the terrified soldiers scream retreat and flee back toward the castle. Raithor von Elwyn steps forward, declaring himself son of the crimson-speared demon and daring any warrior to test their skill against him. Preston von Elwyn, chief retainer of House Elwyn, challenges anyone who believes themselves strongest to step forward and face him in fair combat. Merida shouts that she stands as head of the Elwyn family herself, daring anyone who trusts their own skill to come and fight her. Lise notes the enemy has lost their will to fight, and Merida praises Albert for pinning them within the castle before asking about his next plan. Lise calls for Warid, promising he already has something prepared, though he admits the plan itself may take a little time to unfold. He orders his men to besiege the castle with a relentless wall of sound, denying every soul inside a single moment of rest. Merida judges the strategy excellent, noting their own casualties will remain non-existent, while Lise predicts the enemy will surrender within a matter of days. 10 minutes later, gongs and bells crafted by the Demon Clan begin ringing without pause, and the soldiers thank His Majesty for the plan. Plagued by hunger and endless noise, the trapped soldiers lose every shred of will to keep fighting by the end of the 3rd day. The 5th day of the siege, the main Orgus army vanishes entirely, stripping the defenders of their last remaining hope for rescue. The instant Orgus deserted the field, morale among the surrounded soldiers collapsed, and the trapped garrison accepts the order to surrender. Granted full command over post-war arrangements, the soldiers announce terms demanding total disarmament alongside a heavy ransom paid for their release. Those unable to pay their ransom were enslaved for free labor, while wealthier captives were sent straight to Ashley, with resentment directed entirely toward Orgus. After suffering devastating losses, the war finally ended, leaving the kingdom with absolutely nothing gained from their failed and costly invasion attempt. Lys admits things still worked out in their favor, though he confesses that Orgus escaping the encirclement was never part of his original calculated plan. Discontent ran deep across Zatsabalm, weakening Orgus's grip over frontier lords, as citizens across Alexa grew bitter after 3 failed campaigns in a row. With the old king now dead and the kingdom left unstable, any attempt by Orgus to seize the throne would have sparked immediate rebellion. Frontier lords would have instead rallied behind his half-brother Goran, making it clear the kingdom of Alexa was likely to split into 2. Weeks later at Ashley Castle, Lys presents the financial report from their latest campaign, addressing Lord Albert with the completed numbers in hand. The report reveals massive expenditures against solid income from ransoms and seized goods, leaving a deficit offset by free prisoner labor and new silver mines. Lys asks that Nicholas be summoned, noting trade along the east-west highway will surge now that Arcana territory has rejoined House Elwyn's control. Nicholas apologizes for his delayed return to Arcana territory, and Albert thanks him warmly for everything he accomplished during the recent campaign. Villagers across the Arcana faction say that as long as Lord Albert stands with them, House Elwyn will remain forever undefeated in battle. Lys gets straight to the point, telling Lord Nicholas he has an important role prepared, and Nicholas responds that he is pleased to hear it. Nicholas reads the appointment letter in disbelief, asking whether he is truly meant to govern Arcana territory as its newly named commander. Lys confirms the appointment, explaining that Clan Elder Preston already authorized it, and that Lady Marita herself gave her personal approval as well. Nicholas vows to always serve House Elwyn to the very best of his abilities, and Lys responds that he understands. Lys instructs Nicholas to begin his governance and reach out immediately should trouble arise, while ordering demon soldiers to return home to Arcana. With everything tied neatly together, Lys orders the demons to depart at once, and a soldier confirms readiness to follow his lord's command. Arcana remains an important stretch of land that may still develop a silver mine, though appointing Preston as lord would have seemed more logical. Lys reasons it makes far more sense to place trusted local Nicholas in charge, since demon clan members lack skill in domestic administration. Preston agrees he would rather keep his people within Ashley territory, admitting the demon's temperament and behavior might otherwise cause serious governing issues. Since Arcana territory had been freshly seized from an enemy, the transition of governance proved surprisingly peaceful as it became part of House Elwyn's domain. Weeks earlier, Prince Orgus galloped desperately toward the capital, shouting for his men to hurry as he insisted duty demanded he perform his late father's funeral rites. By joining the 500 soldiers guarding the forward base at Dolphin River, Orgus now commanded an army exceeding 2,000 men, plotted to capture Goran, remove his head, and seize the capital before declaring his own succession to the throne of Alexa. When his exhausted retainer begged to let the troops rest, Orgus snapped that they could rest only after finally reaching the capital. Orgus realized that if Goran managed to claim the throne first, the outcome for his own ambitions would prove nothing short of disastrous. Officers noted that Goran's faction had lately regained strength and begun making suspicious moves despite ongoing efforts to suppress and weaken his power. Orgus fumed that this man's meddling forced him onto the battlefield himself, grinding his teeth over blunders reported straight to his father. He cursed the moment everything began, vowing to drag Albert von Elwyn before him and have the man hanged, drawn, and quartered. His retainer begged him to slow down since the troops stood at their breaking point. Orgus silenced him and refused to repeat himself. Promising great rewards to all who endured the brutal march, Orgus urged his soldiers onward, certain that his crowning as king awaited them. Albert traveled by carriage through imperial calendar year 261, admitting quietly that he dreaded returning to his duties as family head. Merida reassured him that he managed the household well, while Lys groaned that those exhausting years still haunted her memory completely. Lys warned that resuming his post so soon would draw suspicion from His Majesty the Demon King. Given his sudden recovery, she pouted, insisting she only wanted a peaceful life surrounded by cheerful, affectionate girls instead of endless political burdens. Albert suggested naming himself House Guardian, which would let Merida rule as head immediately, while remaining protected under his position. Merida agreed happily, though she joked she would wither away if forced to lead the house for another decade. Encouraged, Merida kissed Lys warmly, declaring her devotion and promising to keep pushing forward through every hardship together. Lys, still flustered, vowed to support Merida however she could, admitting she might never match Albert's steady composure. The three exchanged playful affection, teasing each other about tales and closeness, their bond clearly stronger after years of hardship. Merida brushed off the teasing, claiming they were simply showing Albert how close their little family truly remained. Lys warned Merida not to slip her hands beneath her clothes, worried the innocent gesture might turn into trouble. The girls teased Albert about his obvious interest, joking about his stare while comparing playful changes in their figures. Albert admitted his eyes would always return to them, calling the women before him simply too striking to ignore. Merida grinned, declaring that watching alone wasn't enough, hinting at 3 more days before reaching the capital. The carriage ride grew quieter as their affection deepened, the 3 settling into easy comfort before the coming ceremony. Their journey ended before the towering spires of Alancia Empire's grand capital, marking the start of formal recognition. Standing before the assembled court, Merida announced their monumental victory, declaring the Arcana territory returned fully to imperial control. The emperor summoned her forward, and the crowd erupted, chanting her name as cheers for the new hero echoed loudly. Praised for reclaiming Arcana and repelling the kingdom's invasion, Merida accepted her achievements with quiet pride beside lies. In reward, the emperor granted House Elwyn the recaptured Arcana territory, naming Merida Imperial Viscountess for her service. Lord Doras objected loudly before the court, insisting that raising House Elwyn to Count status remained utterly unthinkable, regardless of their victories. Argued the crown had already rewarded House Elwyn twice, questioning whether the emperor now doubted his own governance and judgment. Such a controversial appointment, he warned, would break precedent and show blatant disrespect toward the empire's established noble hierarchy. Merida and Lies proposed a compromise instead, offering to withhold the title while granting only the Arcana territory outright. Doors immediately protested, declaring Arcana rightfully belonged to House Warspan, since his family once governed that land originally. Albert erupted, demanding whether Doors understood the immense cost in time and resources spent reclaiming that territory through hardship. The emperor noted that rejecting a grand house's wishes risked sparking civil conflict. Though imperial authority remained far from absolute, Merida realized her compromise had been flatly rejected, since House Elwyn's own troops recaptured Arcana without outside assistance. Refusing to back down, Merida ordered guards to bring forward a hidden trump card meant to expose Doris publicly. Licht von Erlocht, blood relative of the late emperor, was dragged forward despite his shameful defection to the enemy kingdom. Merida reminded everyone of the imperial election, revealing an interesting story connected directly to Doris's rise to power. Licht confessed he had been ordered to spread fabricated lies, claiming he had no choice but to obey completely. Rumors still circulated that Lord Christ murdered his own father and brother to seize control of House Shugmori. Merida explained that forcing Licht's public confession carried enormous weight, since his lies had caused years of lasting damage. She pressed further, demanding Licht's name exactly who ordered him to spread those absolute lies throughout the empire. Licht admitted Doors instructed him to fabricate accusations against Christ, damaging his reputation completely through deliberate calculated deception. Doors denied giving any such order, insisting Licht spoke nothing but shameless lies before the entire watching court. Merida countered that Licht claimed threats forced his confession, suggesting Doors pressured him into speaking under obvious duress. Licht swore upon Alexius, the god of war, that Doris's order remained completely certain. Without any possible mistake, built upon his reputation as an honorable warrior, Doris had quietly gathered support from other factions, now visibly rattled. Whispers grew louder, since rumor claimed Doris stood next in line should any misfortune ever befall Emperor Christ unexpectedly. The gathered nobles' glares grew sharper with every passing second, having clearly accepted Licht's confession as complete truth. Christ praised Licht for finally speaking honestly, then declared he would forgive the vicious lies spread across the empire. However, betraying the Alancia Empire remained an unforgivable crime, and Christ raised his sword without further hesitation or mercy. Licht's severed head rolled across the floor, silencing the hall while Albert quietly resolved never to provoke this demon king. Christ turned toward Doors, demanding his response now that Warspan blood had belonged to this executed headless traitor. He pressed further, insisting Doors answer immediately before every noble house instead of retreating home to decide punishment later. Sensing no real objections remained regarding Arcana's ownership, Christ declared House Elwyn's elevation to Viscount officially acknowledged and final. Doors admitted defeat bitterly, though he vowed to hold the Emperor personally accountable should further trouble arise from Elwyn. He stormed from the hall furiously, warning everyone present to remember his warning before slamming the heavy door shut. Christ asked calmly whether anyone else wished to object, noting sarcastically that Doris had essentially blessed the entire decision. Applause spread through the room as Christ's authority strengthened, while Doris's reputation suffered a massive, humiliating public blow. Inside his private chambers, Christ knew genuine reform would bring hardship, since his authority as emperor remained fragile still. Merida laughed, admitting she nearly cried watching Doris's humiliated expression after treating demons as sworn enemies for years. She explained the Bearfolk obsession with claiming military superiority, jealous that demons dominated recent achievements throughout the empire. Merida confessed she couldn't afford enemies yet, not until dismantling the imperial election system remained her true, ultimate goal. Ending election chaos, she believed, would let the empire rise stronger, free from succession conflicts and constant civil unrest. Albert agreed, noting the current system inevitably sparked discourse and division whenever succession disputes arose within noble houses. Christ presented Albert a celebratory gift for his newborn son, revealing 50,000 gold coins hidden inside the chest. Startled by the enormous gift meant for young Arius, Merida clarified it came from Christ personally, not the throne itself. Christ teased Albert with mock adoption threats before deciding instead to formally adopt Lise von Alco into the imperial family. Christ accepted the gold graciously on Arius's behalf, promising it would help House Elwyn prosper further under careful guidance. Christ ordered a famous blade bestowed upon Miller, praising his skill and warning against burying such talent in rank and file. Thanks to Miller's efforts, the Alco family gained trust and standing, moving quickly from branded traitors into the Emperor's inner circle. Returning finally to Ashley with their official Viscount seal, Albert vowed to work hard securing prosperity for Lisa's inheriting child.